Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm, and you are watching What If Naruto Had Power of One Winged Angel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
As usual, Naruto was fleeing from the villagers. He had just attempted to persuade the Hokage to let him attend the academy at the age of 6. Then why was he running? Of course, they wanted to kill him. On the Hokage monument, he was able to corner himself beneath the Shoden's face. Why me? In his mind, Naruto heard, it doesn't have to be you. Fantastic. I'm hearing things right now. Once more, how come my life isn't normal? Naruto then found himself in a white area in front of a giant fox, saying, if I said fate, you wouldn't believe me. He said, where am I? The fox said, that's what I was wondering, myself. They both glanced around and said, 1 minute I'm in a cage, the next, I'm right here. Something's wrong. You feel it too? Inquired Naruto. He shook his head, asking, you know what's off? This is going to be really annoying. He turned to face Naruto. Until I say otherwise, you and I are sticking together. I'm not aware of what happened to the seal, but whatever it was, it brought me out of it. Whether I'm still bound to you or not remains to be seen, the fox said. Naruto asked, what seal? What do you mean? They turned to face her as a female voice said, I was wondering when you'd show. I am Aerith Gainsborough, the last of the Cetra. Did you just say the Cetra? Is that some kind of clan? No, that's an entire race, but if you're a Cetra, oh shit. What? Kit, we're dead. According to Aerith, no, you're not. I simply brought you here, to bring you some help. I hate to break it you, but being in the livestream would kill any mortal, there are no exceptions. There were 2 that I know of that were alive. Friends of mine. One went there in his own sorrow, so he was dead in theory, but his heart was still beating. The other one was someone that cared for him, and went in after him, just to help him, and bring him out. It's been done before, but never like this. What do you mean? Kyuubi, he was not aware of your presence, was he? Hey, everyone thinks I died, or was reborn as him. It doesn't happen that fast, and by the way, he's got his own body now, as do you. You mean I'm free? Not that simple. Naruto yelled, wait a minute, you're the Kyuubi? Who else has 9 tails and looks like a fox? Naruto broke out in a sweat, defensive much. It's a habit he picked up. You're going to live without being a Jinchuriki, but only because you're here right now, as he was already released. What now? Well, bringing him here gave him a bloodline. You see, one of my friends that came here was something known as a soldier. He claimed to be first class, but that was only in his head. He had been tainted by Mako, and in essence, he was able to control the lifestream to a point. Being here gave Naruto that ability. What do you mean? Aerith pointed to a blue-eyed, blonde man with a huge sword on his back and said, well, since he's here, why not ask him yourself? This is him? Kind of young, don't you think? He inquired. I know, Cloud. But he's been on the keen edge of a blade all his life so far. We need someone to help him out. I can't think of anyone better than you. He's lonely, just like you were. Is that all? Inquiries Cloud made. Naruto cast his gaze downward. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? Kyuubi thought as Naruto quickly turned his head. Whiplash. It's because this is the first time you'd actually be able to meet. Fate does not hold this boy. Contrary to some beliefs, the lifestream doesn't govern all. People like him are always an unknown. And we're going to help him out. Aerith clarified. The seal will be gone. The fox here will return as a summon materia, and you'll be in his mind instead. What about you? Kyuubi interrogated. What are you going to do? Give him a little something. You'll have to stay with him for a while to combat the negative effects, but once they're gone and he finishes it all, he'll be fine, and you'll be free to roam the lifestream. He will also be able to come here anytime he needs to. He'll be like Cloud, in a sense. Everyone turned to stare at him when another man said, he's not the only one that's going to help. Sephiroth was the one. Cloud said sourly, Sephiroth. He said, I have no quarrel with you, Cloud. In fact, my problem is with that fox. You have no. He surprised everyone by cutting off the fox and asking, why did you let him control you? You shouldn't have fallen for it in the first place. Quite frankly, I'm disappointed in you, Kurama. At this, the fox stiffened. Fine. I was still disoriented from the unsealing. He caught my eye as the first thing I saw. I barely had time to register what the fuck the bastard was doing, much less take steps to counter it. What else can I do when the first thing I see is a red eye, and then it all goes blank? Oh. That's not what I heard from Kushina. She's the only reason I am already in the know about that. Damn redhead. At least she was fun. With disdain in his voice, Sephiroth said, "You really want to talk about that in front of her son? If so, you're more screwed up in the head than I thought." "Wait, my mom?" inquired Naruto. "The reason I'm even here right now is at her request. Otherwise, I wouldn't want anything to do with tall, blonde and spiky over there. Even when I took you down 3 times. You are aware that there were only 2 instances," yelled Sephiroth. "Really? I seem to recall knocking you into the lifestream from the Nibelheim Mako reactor, defeating you at the northern crater, and then after Kadaj transformed into you, thus ending the Geostigma virus." Cloud made Sephiroth blush. "Thought so. You didn't think I'd forget, did you? I hate you, you know that? Because I'm the only one to take you down on multiple occasions? Play nice you too. Sephiroth, why did she ask you to help out?" "Kenjutsu, which is the art of the sword, Cloud. Aside from that, how to use the power I give him, namely materia. The 3 master materia, in particular. Then Cloud will help keep his sanity intact. I'd much rather he use first Tsurugi than Masamune, to be honest. If Sephiroth is going to work with him on this, then why not train him to use both?" Cloud said. Sephiroth asked, "And what good will that do?" "Well, for one, I'll be healing his muscles as they tear themselves apart. I'll stick to healing his body when needed. He won't be drawing on my power on his own, though. That's no longer an option. I'll teach him how to use chakra. Cloud teach him how to use the larger swords, Sephiroth, the smaller swords. The 2 of you will have to work together regarding Kenjutsu. Since I'm a lot more familiar with the way shinobi work, I'll be handling the rest of it. There is one thing you should know, before any of this begins, Kit." Kyuubi nodded when Naruto said, "You guys are discussing my training. What do I need to know?" "Simple. Play the fool. None of this gets out. 1. You're being trained by me. 2. You've got 2 dead guys training you. 3. You know who your mother is, which is ironic, considering the fact I was sealed in her as well. None of those facts are to get out. Meaning, no showing off the skills you learn from us. As far as anyone knows, you are unaware of my presence. Have no idea who your parents are, though it would be obvious, if you ask me, and you have no knowledge of whatever it is you're doing. We'll be training you here, instead of up there. Also, since you're here, I'll be able to convert my Yuki into your chakra. Add Mako to that, and you've got a shitload of energy to use." Naruto questioned, "What if I use without realizing it?" "Act like you're confused. Almost as if you had no idea what was going on," Cloud said. "Should be easy." "Life is never easy," Sephiroth said. "Well, if we stand here all day, we'll never get anywhere." Aerith gave a headshake. "He must rest first. He can rest up here. If we keep him here for a while, and since time flows differently here than back on Gaia, or in the elemental nations, he could be here for 24 days, and only a day would pass in the elemental nations. The time frame from here to Gaia is more like 1 hour. There is about 38 hours here. He could stay for a while. Heal up, train him, and get him ready for the world out there. Once you are both done training him to the guidelines set by Genova, myself, Shinigami, as they call her in the elemental nations, you 2 will be reborn to help him out in person." Surprised, Cloud said, "Wait, what? If I'm getting revived, what about Tifa?" "What's wrong, Cloud? You don't want to leave her, even if it meant you would live." Kyuubi had a prolonged cough. "Is this Tifa any good at fighting hand to hand?" Cloud said, "The best of her time. Have her train him in that regard. Someone will also need to teach him how to use shuriken, kunai, and other standard weaponry for shinobi." Cloud blinked, saying, "Well, why not just bring the whole avalanche? Perhaps that will be a better way for us to do things than this. I'll set up an area that will allow them to gather." Aerith sighed. "He won't be trained on Gaia, but here. He should come here every night rather than wherever he's staying. In the long run, it will benefit him. In training and rest." "Aerith, thank you," Naruto said. "You know, you're really nice." "Sometimes, a little too nice." Cloud acknowledged. "It's a good thing to be nice, but too much could kill you, in a way." Aerith said worriedly, "It's not like you to say that, Cloud. You were kind, so you gave up yourself. Although you didn't intend to harm us, you were doing just that. You were aware of my emotional state following your passing. Tifa was struck because she was concerned about me, and I was struck the hardest. Aerith, cause and effect. If something occurs, it will lead to something else. A single death makes a number of people depressed, and those people in turn make a number of other people depressed. The cycle continues indefinitely. No matter whose death it is, it will cause pain and suffering," Cloud clarified in a firm but not icy tone. "Well, the space is prepared already. Aerith said, "Let's go," and everyone followed her as she left. They ended up in an arena. Genova took care of this one for me. Claimed it should be beneficial. How about beds? He'll need one, Cloud said and asked. I'll handle that. Kyuubi replied. I kind of owe his mother, so I might as well. Which one? Kyuubi recognized the voice of a woman all too well. The first step is to train him. 7. Recall that I didn't actually train you as I had intended. They all turned to face the red-headed woman behind them, who was accompanied by a blonde man who resembled Naruto in his later years. Really, Q? Why didn't you, then? Time was of the essence. I wanted to help you more than I wanted to, as much as I would like to say otherwise. Kyuubi informed her, any plans I had were put on hold the moment you became pregnant. If I could have done so without putting your unborn child in danger, I would have. I was powerless to help. I apologize for that. Even after the training is over, the remaining ones would still be there to protect him if that's all. The redhead said, make sure he fulfills his dream, whatever it may be. He passes away from old age, and then the Toby guy is dead. If not, you have let me down. He turned to Naruto and said, if that's all, we ought to give him some time to relax. As soon as he wakes up, training will start. Show him how to use your original jutsu. Make them exclusive to him. To be honest, I would much rather be a familiar face than a summons when we depart. Then Kyuubi grew smaller and embraced Naruto, saying, I have nothing against you joining. As much as it is for him, this is also for you. Kushina, Minato. After blinking and shrugging, the two adults fell asleep beside Naruto, thanks Kurama. I dislike having debt. You are aware of that. Perhaps, but the family will benefit more from this. The Uzumaki clan and you get along, at least in part. Too obstinate to give a damn. Sort of like me, isn't it? True. Cloud, Sephiroth, and Aerith gazed at them in mild surprise as Kushina's breathing evened out and she fell asleep. Naruto was already asleep, and Minato at last slept. That was probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen here. I think the weirdest thing I've ever seen period is Cloud agreeing with me. Sephiroth replied. You had taken the words out of my mouth when you said it wasn't like him to say that one could be too kind. Cloud acknowledged, I know I wouldn't usually say that. I was trying to make a point. You know, I'm to blame for doing it myself. That's why I was confused. By the way, when will the others get here? I hope before they wake up. You guys have to sleep here, but I don't. You've always done so. You're not even a fake Cetra, Cloud. And you're not a true Cetra, Sephiroth. It's ingrained in the soul as well as the blood. Cloud does not possess the blood, and Sephiroth does not possess the soul. That's how easy it is. With you, things are never easy, are they? They all turned to see the rest of Avalanche when a woman asked. Cloud whispered, Tifa. The woman in black answered, Cloud. Why are you two standing together, not fighting? We had to reach a consensus for the blonde kid over there, everyone thought as they gazed at Cloud and Sephiroth. Sephiroth because his mom practically told him to. Which makes me unhappy. I simply can't get rid of the excessive number of gift cards I have, despite my desire to do so. So, Spiky, what's the matter? Why is the brat so significant? A buff, black man with a metal arm inquired. He has caught the attention of both Genova and Aerith. You two get along as well as Sephiroth and I did when we were alive, if I'm not mistaken. Aerith nodded. That means that if that occurs, you can be sure that he will suffer a significant circumstance. How long are we going to keep him here? 3 days in his life. That's 70.2 days here. It has to do with time shifts. Even if I tried, I couldn't really explain it. So, began Vincent Valentine, we're to teach him our areas of expertise? That was the idea. What does he intend to do? A girl with a lot of energy said, come on. Why would he require our entire skill set? He'll be needing your skills the most, Yuffie. Cloud said. Namely, stealth and secrecy from you. Yuffie, the girl, said, wait, you mean he's going to be a shinobi? Oh, this is going to be good, Cloud and Sephiroth said, nodding. Should I presume that he must conceal his actual skills? Aerith nodded. I want to know about his life, primarily about his family, what he should know, and what he doesn't know but does, as well as the local population and environment. Aerith said, I'll explain it, since I have the most information on him. Yuffie struck a contemplative pose that is typically revered by those who know her. I understand. I'll discuss it with him. The majority of them were taken aback by this, but if I'm right, Tifa and I will have to teach him our sets before anybody else teaches him theirs. A man with a spear on his back said, you're not fucking teaching him to be fucking obnoxious. He'll be able to do that on his own, but it's part of the cover. Unfortunately or fortunately for you, he needs to learn taijutsu first. Tifa is in charge of that division. The other is how to pretend to be a fool and make it look so real that even the most perceptive person would fall for it. Despite how absurd it sounds, that is my department. At one point, you could be so insane, Cloud said, blinking. I wouldn't hold Sephiroth responsible for his insanity if he was locked in the same room with you for 3 hours. You can be so serious that everyone here would fuck themselves in a matter of seconds. Now that I think about it, nobody knows who you really are. When the others blinked, Sephiroth whistled. If acting isn't her specialty, I don't know what is. Yuffie said, my point exactly. You're up with light blades, Sephiroth, after Tifa finishes her part. That's when you and I will start teaching him how to use ranged weapons, Vincent. Cloud will use the heavier blades after Sephiroth is happy with his kenjutsu. Physically, we all know that's where Cloud excels. They all nodded when he said, they're his signature weapon. Sid. You're capable of improvising. What the devil am I doing with that? Aside from yourself, how many people have you met that could take a bunch of random junk parts, some of which didn't work when you got him, and turn them into the fastest flyer of its time? Yuffie asked him, turning to face him. Gosh. You've got a point. A creature that resembled a red dog said, I'm afraid I'm lost. Nanaki, that one fact is the reason I stated that Sid has improvisation. The act of transforming something wholly or at least partially irrelevant to a situation into something incredibly valuable is known as improvisation. It's similar to assembling a number of different kinds of materia into a functional master materia. The Shira. It's just that. The fastest ship of its time was created from a collection of haphazard parts. Sid alone could accomplish that. Here, he could only learn improv from Sid. Where am I? Barrett asked, looking irritated. To tell the truth, I don't think you'll do well here. Weightlifting is the only noteworthy activity you have, aside from mining and fighting with that gimmick arm. Hold on. That's it, Yuffie said, gazing at his gimmick arm. You can train his body to increase his stamina and agility with your guns. He still needs the stealth, so make sure he isn't overly strong, Nanaki. I've done some research on his native country. The Elemental Nations Land of Fire. I have the complete history of the so-called Elemental Nations from the conclusion of the Demon Wars. He knows history well. He will need to learn battle strategy from Cloud. No, Cloud said. Sephiroth and I will be working on his spells once his kenjutsu is finished. The jutsu will be used by his parents, the taller, red-headed couple over there. Additionally, we will be teaching him how to use the Mako energy that he will have access to. I'll be teaching him about the life stream. To everyone's surprise, Yuffie said, I think it would work best if he works it out while using his cover when it comes to battle strategy. He would play pranks as part of the cover. Do you want to know how difficult it is to pull a dangerous practical joke in a village full of people who are more perceptive than Sephiroth? When he can accomplish this without anyone noticing, he will have a partially finished battle strategy. He will succeed in the fight if he just applies that way of thinking. Sid sighed. You may be annoying as hell, but you're one hell of an analyst. That made them think. As Yuffie proudly said, that's my job. Anyway, we'll have to figure it out. I don't think his arsenal needs spears. Without ammunition, I doubt guns would be useful, but with Sid's training, that would be an easy fix. I'm not just a miner, you know, Barrett said, adding, I'll be helping out there. He needs ammunition, and I could easily teach him how to make it. We have a lot of work to do. For now, take it easy. A few eyebrows went up when Yuffie said, this is for the next livestream warrior. They all nodded and said, don't question it, unless you've got a better nickname for him. 3 days after the attack, Konohagakure, Naruto. Where are you? I can feel it in my bones. You're alive somewhere. Just. Where? Hiruzen Sarutobi was growing concerned because there was no sign of Naruto's body and none of the ones that were there made sense to Ibiki. With a worried and irate expression on his face, Sarutobi approached an Anbu who had just entered the room and said, there better be good news about Naruto Uzumaki. The Anbu attracted Sarutobi's attention by saying, he's alive, sir. You possess the evidence? A tiny fox is currently cuddling up to him in Training Ground 44. There, the boy is dozing off. Why didn't you take him outside? What? Sarutobi asked. The fox. Before I could get close enough, it spit green fire at me and had 9 tails. After removing his robes to reveal armor underneath, Sarutobi appeared hardened. Ready 3 Anbu squads. With a voice reminiscent of his previous titles, he declared, we're going to see them. Yes, sir. After the Anbu shut down, Sarutobi proceeded to the training grounds south side. 12 Anbu and Sarutobi arrived in 5 minutes. Let's move. They all entered, with one Anbu landing in a clearing close to a partially uprooted tree, just ahead of the Hokage. Without getting barbecued, I can't get close enough. There was a protruding fox head. About time you got here, old man. Kyubi. How have you handled him? As of right now, nothing. After all, I owe you something. Come on in, said the fox. The Anbu is not permitted. I have no faith in them. He trusts you, at least in part. I am aware of that much. Despite his angry expression, Sarutobi quickly composed himself and entered, telling the Anbu to keep their distance but not approach too closely. Naruto. Gigi? The boy opened his eyes slowly and asked. Naruto. What took place? Under the Hokage rock face, I passed out. An odd dream. I woke up to this fox trying to defend me. All I know is that. Kid, that dream was insania. I know this because I witnessed it myself. Even by my own standards. Are you aware of what it was? What? Sarutobi asked. I certainly do. Our minds are connected, after all, the fox said. Then what was it? Not much. A redhead named Kushina claimed to be his mother, which was also nearly impossible in Naruto's opinion, and your Yandaime claimed to be his father. Naruto is adamantly opposed to the idea because of how the village treats him. It doesn't really matter what else happened. They're not, in my opinion. After all, if I was, why would they treat me that way? Naruto said, it doesn't make sense. Sarutobi sighed inwardly in relief. This forest is dangerous, Naruto. I'm not letting you in here. After that, we'll reside in the woods surrounding the village. He will not be allowed to live in an apartment in the village, and anyone who finds out where he lives will undoubtedly tell others, who will then attack. No, he should avoid having his apartment in the village. His house isn't either. Since it will benefit him in the long run, I can and will teach him how to survive in the most dire circumstances. Sarutobi said, his voice still a little icy. He was scheduled to attend the academy yesterday. He knew who it was. Slow down the volume. I would have already done it if I wanted to harm you or him. I fired a warning flame at the Anbu that discovered us. Not much more. Something else is now inside the seal. More dangerous, but less strong. He is no longer my Jinchuriki. In any case, I have some favors to repay. They have been moved to him. As the final request from the last one. Recognize that I am not required to remain with him. No longer. Where you failed to protect him, I'm here to do it. Gigi. What is he discussing? With an inward curse, Sarutobi said, I classified it as an S-class secret. He turned to the fox and said, you said something replaced you in there, but that wasn't to be said under the death penalty. More dangerous, but less strong. How? Better yet, what? 2 creatures. Since I don't know all the specifics myself, I won't tell you who they are. To the best of my knowledge, one of them nearly destroyed his world, but the other one prevented him from doing so twice. Since that is all I know for sure, that is all I can say. Why ought I to trust you? Sarutobi squinted his eyes. Kurama turned to face Naruto and said, it is up to you whether you believe me or not. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, you'll be attending the academy. I am his guardian, Naruto said, nodding and curling back into Kurama's fur. No stream. At his mother's request. Don't bother us, and get lost. How can I be certain that you won't demolish the village? I only ever abide by one rule. I don't fuck with you, and neither do you. I've been living by that rule for the past 200 years. I don't even know what exactly happened 6 years ago. After being released from my previous host, I saw red before I was sealed. Everything else is either non-existent or a blur. Clearly, whoever had that red eye did something, and they probably made me attack my friend's house. According to my code, I wouldn't have done anything to them because they hadn't done anything to me. And why would you attempt an attack at all? Blondie would have perished in a different way if I had really intended to attack. Not in the ceiling. I owe Kushina. I consented to be his temporary guardian in part because of this. I can't stay indefinitely. But another group is coming for him before I leave. Those 2 were wed a while back. At one time, they were residents of the mountains. Although I won't reveal them right away, I do know their names. And how about they come here right now? Or are they truly coming? Said Sarutobi. They will arrive. Their landowners will not permit them to visit for a while. Before they do, they must endure a great deal of shit. Kurama said, and if anyone asks, my name is Kurama. I strongly advise that you don't let anyone know that I'm out of the seal. Yes, I know how to do that, and I will only be using one tail to get around the village. Any kitsune with 6 or more tails is able to. I will be here when they arrive, but I will also be gone. A call that he could use as he saw fit. Anyway, my time is almost up. Note that he is no longer able to access my chakra by himself. I would only give it to him voluntarily in order to heal him. Why? Sarutobi has not yet widened his eyes. Just know that I won't attack unless provoked for the time being. That can only be done in 2 ways. Either they assault me, or they assault him. Even though I may not want to, I won't harm them if they don't do either of those things. If you attack him, you're attacking me. In case the Academy tries to impede his progress, I'm also considering potential trainers. I know most of history because I'm so old, but I don't know the official accounts. I would ask Nibby to assist by bringing up a few people who could provide knowledge if she weren't sealed. What favor do you owe her? In fact, I owe her more than 50 favors. Her husband? I owe him 3. He received the favors they had given him. Kushina requests that I keep her son safe. Teach him. Then I could accompany her. Regretfully, I am not as capable of training him as she believes. I'll be able to teach him chakra theory, survival skills, and other things. I really only have that much to teach him. However, I don't believe that will be sufficient for what he needs to know. Everything else I could teach him would either require him to be a kitsune like me or relate to my Yuki. I have to make significant changes to him before I can teach him any of that. I'm not going to do that. Get lost now. Both of us will require the rest. When Sarutobi realized he was getting nothing more from him, he got up, pondered when he should sit down, and went to the still, present Anbu. Lord Hokage. I'm all right. There is no need for concern. Return to your postings and stop worrying about them. He turned to face the Hyuga Anbu and said, Lion, inform the clan heads that anybody pursuing Naruto Uzumaki will be followed by a kitsune because the kitsune is his protector. The fox will not attack without cause. Heishi and Sume should be aware that Kushina asked them to do so. They ought to be aware of the circumstances. He turned his head and said, Sir, Kurama, you better keep your word. I have given you the benefit of the doubt. Don't mess it up. The Anbu departed. The following day, still wearing Kurama's fur, Naruto awoke and said, Morning, sleepyhead. Morning, Kurama. Remember, don't reveal your expertise to anyone. I've already raised Sarutobi's suspicions. Let's get you cleaned up and take you to the nearby river. We will then proceed to the academy. I recall the arrangement from your mother's and another person's recollections. The spouse of the Shodem. I got it. Naruto undressed and began washing himself before they ran through the forest to a river. So, if I'm starting the academy today, what will you be doing? I'll be observing from a distance. Primarily to check if what your parents, Avalanche, and I believe is accurate. I will have to ask Kushina to teach you her blood clone jutsu before the scheduled time if that is the case. Why not right now? Because we are uncertain if it will actually occur. We will do so if it does. We'll wait until you turn 10 here if not. Remind yourself of the seal your father gave you, and keep it sealed. Not until you create one and master the blood clone jutsu. After that, you use it to eliminate some local bandits, being careful to wear a mask. All right. As he washed himself and put on the new clothes Kurama had brought, Naruto declared, I got it. I thought that orange wasn't a good color for stealth. Yuffie's concept. Consider how stealthy you are at night in black if you can remain hidden during the day in a bright color. After giving it some thought, Naruto nodded and said, This is good. Additionally, her cover will aid in that regard. I still find it hard to believe that mom and dad supported it. I think the logic was crucial for him. For her, she was one herself. She, too, saw the wider picture. Indeed, it benefits you in unexpected ways. After nodding, Naruto turned to face the others and asked, Which way do we go? Come on, Kurama said, lowering his neck. They arrived at the academy in 10 minutes after Naruto grabbed him by the neck and ran through the ground, dodging each tree with ease, before they leapt over the fence enclosing the forest and ran through the streets as the sun was just setting. They were both caught by an ANBU, which attempted to follow them. As soon as they came to a stop in the academy yard, the Anbu also stopped, primarily to watch, per orders. Naruto got off and thanked the fox, which confused the Anbu, before the fox smiled and nodded. Remember to exercise extreme caution. If anything occurs, please notify me. Additionally, keep what you see and hear to yourself. That is why you are training with me. Keep an eye out for everything, but keep my identity a secret, correct? Remember what I told you, the fox said, nodding. The difference between life and death could be that. I know. Await the first instructor here. Sarutobi and I need to get together. Be certain that the person instructing you is aware of your status as an orphan. With a nod, Naruto said, "Try and be careful, Kurama. You should know me better than that." Before making his way to the front porch, Naruto muttered, "That's what I'm afraid of." Kurama leapt off, and 5 minutes later, a teacher came into the yard. "Who are you?" the man with the scar across his nose inquired. "New pupil. My start date was set for yesterday. That's what I was told, anyway. I was too late because I didn't get up early enough." After blinking, the man said, "You're Naruto Uzumaki? You recognize me?" "No, but I was meant to receive that student's name yesterday. He never appeared." "That's me, then. It seems that you are also my teacher." Amino Iruka. Chunin teacher. Uzumaki Naruto, orphan. Iruka blinked. "Are you also an orphan?" "Yes. You mean you are as well?" Iruka lamentably acknowledged, "I've been an orphan since my parents died nearly 7 years ago. People say they killed themselves or abandoned me, but Naruto said sadly, I never knew mine. That I wasn't wanted by them. Or that, in any case, I wouldn't deserve them. If the Hokage has you in another class, I'll ask him to switch you to mine," Iruka said, lowering himself to his eye level. "You need assistance from someone who has supported an orphan." "All right, Naruto." He received a nod, but his face remained dejected. "Naruto, you and I are related. We are kin by circumstance, even if not by blood. Ask me for help if you need it." Despite being a little taken aback, Naruto nodded and grinned, saying, "Thanks. You understand, Naruto. You are the subject of numerous rumors." Iruka approached the door and unlocked it, saying, "As an orphan, I've learned to form my own opinions. What I've seen this morning doesn't match any of the rumors I've heard. I'll be relying on my own judgment because those rumors are the product of ignorant people. That's what's on my mind at the moment. Hurry up. Until the other students enter, you are welcome to remain in my classroom. I'll impart some knowledge to you. Try to assist you. Because of the rumors, I seriously doubt that anyone else will." They entered a classroom on the second floor after Naruto nodded, and they went inside. Iruka was instantly alert when a fox entered through the window, but she refrained from attacking. "Calm down. I'll refrain from attacking." Kurama glanced at Naruto and said, "I just got the name of your instructor, and we thought like minds in choosing. I'm only here for the kit. Iruka Amino is your instructor." "Looks like I'm in your class after all," Naruto said, turning to face Iruka. "Looks like it, but," Naruto said, "don't worry about Kurama. I suppose you could say that he's the reason I'm still alive today, 3 days later?" "That would be roughly correct. I'm also the one who helped you get out of that situation." "Did I express my gratitude for that?" "Yes, you did." "All right. Just to be certain. Naruto, foxes aren't popular in the village," Iruka said, observing the two. "I believe you ought to be aware of that and exercise caution around him. He wishes to assist in keeping you safe. I can see that much. But because of this information, you'll be referring to me as Iruka Sensei in class. You're Iruka, aren't you? You have a little hate, but from what I can tell, it's greatly diminished from what it was," Kurama said, meeting his gaze. That made Iruka sigh. "I'll confess that I also despise foxes, but only because one of them killed my parents. I had no other family members and was an only child. Avoid teasing the foxes. Really, if you get to know them, they're pleasant. Sometimes they're great pranksters, too," Naruto said. "I'm not going to teach you how to pull practical jokes, but, if I discover that you're impeding his progress, Iruka." Iruka looked at Naruto and said defensively, "Hey, I already promised myself I wouldn't do that. I know the others won't see what I saw this morning," he said, "even though it was directly in front of their eyes. You can't fake what I saw. Not in that manner. I'm positive that I won't try to impede his progress, even if everyone else does. If I did that to another orphan, I couldn't live with myself. A teacher shouldn't be partial, but that doesn't mean I can't teach him outside of the classroom. He's got a lot to learn in survival and stealth. Why the orange jumpsuit, then? My decision. And this is the cause. Imagine how effectively he can blend in at night in a dark hue if he can blend in during the day in a bright color like that orange." Then Iruka blinked and visualized it. "I understand, but I won't question it. Not my responsibility. The problem is that I instruct academics. There aren't many practical aspects. I've been looking for some individuals who can assist in teaching him those skills. Not very successful. The number of people who owe me favors will surprise you. They're not all shinobi, either. Do you know anyone who can look after him, ideally a human? Verify his safety at home? I've already arranged them. For an indefinite period of time, they will not be permitted to attend." Convincing their landlord is one of the many things they must do before they can arrive. Trust me when I say that it won't be simple. The Hokage already knows that I am his guardian until then. The gloves are off and the attackers are dead if they try to kill him directly, but I have already promised not to attack those who impede his progress. There are no exceptions. The Hokage is aware that his parents have passed away and that the Anbu are being informed of this as we speak. They passed away within 3 hours of his birth, so they couldn't have left him behind. As they passed away with him in their arms, they informed me that my assistance would be used to train and protect their son. I'm here now for that reason. So I don't have to worry about you? Iruka nodded. Naruto replied, no, he's cool. I already understand the story, but why didn't you mention that your parents instructed you to take this action? I can't leave a debt unpaid because of my code. They were aware of this. Regretfully, according to the Hokage, the identities of your parents are classified as SS. Class secrets. Nobody is supposed to know. Not even you. But I'm positive you already do. I can't tell you their names until you're a genin, even though he intended to wait until you were a chunin. I persuaded your parents' friend to let me tell you when you turn into a genin instead. No sooner, as much as I would like to say otherwise. Yes, exactly. Something that may seem a bit ironic to you. What are you saying? Iruka inquired. You told me that you enjoy ramen, right, Naruto? He nodded. You had 2 parents who were ramonics. In their day, they were almost an expert on ramen. I can tell you a little bit about them, but I can't give you any identities, whether or not they're required. That is not prohibited by law. With a smile, Naruto said, okay. I might as well stay here, Iruka Sensei, since I'm in your class. I need to do a few things to pass the time. The council is not pleased that Sarutobi has so much on his plate. They continue to demand blood. So, what are you expecting? Iruka inquired. Even though I haven't served as a counselor myself, I am positive that a leader has only 2 enemies. First, paperwork. Nobody ever figured out how to beat that one, except for the Yondaime. He carried that secret to his grave. The second comes from history. The Council of Advisors. The combination of those 2 causes the most trouble because the council is typically full of power. Hungry idiots. Can't argue with that. You're a good man, Iruka. He must have a friend of some sort. He probably doesn't even have any family, too. The fox acknowledged, if he does, not even I know where they are. Then we must remain united. We orphans must remain united. In addition, he is an outsider, a black sheep, shall we say. Then he might be liked by someone else. I don't know why, and I don't really care, Iruka said, acknowledging that no one likes her either. No one else bothers to check for her mask, but I can tell she wears one. Due to the fact that it is not visible. Emotional cloak. Kit, it looks like that's another one, Iruka said, nodding. With dead eyes, Naruto said, no kidding. Iruka saw this and scowled. Iruka Sensei, I may act happy, but you've already seen a portion of it. However, if Kurama believes that you won't take any action. Then, to their surprise, Iruka gave him a tight hug and refused to let go, saying, I don't care what anyone else says. I noticed the expression in your eyes. What they have done to you is unknown to me, but nobody should look like that, kid or not. With his mask coming off, Naruto sniffed. That's the look of someone who's already died. This is not good. His mask is already being broken, Kurama thought. Kumarama, don't worry. This is what Yuffie and I prepared for. The first emotional mask came off of him. That's what the hug did. He still has no chance of breaking the other 3. Third others? An emotional mask is the first. The second is an idiot's mask. He will need to remove the physical mask if he is able to break that one, which I don't doubt in the slightest. That's the limited skill set. Not a word about my bloodline. When the 4th mask is taken off, or when I'm so angry that I would normally channel your Yuki, someone will either die or suffer serious injuries. I'm taking off my 4th mask. When I turn into a genin, mask 3 will disappear. Anything with a B rank or higher, or a chunin rank, will cause mask 4 to be permanently destroyed. I'll only experience a brief release from extreme rage, and then I'll faint. That's what we developed. And everyone said she was crazy as hell. Not all things are as they seem. You are aware of that. She also uses all of them except mask 1. They say that for that reason. The mask is visible to the public, but not underneath it. That is the issue with the majority of people. I don't want to break a delicate moment, but I think there is business to attend to, Kurama said, clearing his throat. Others are approaching the academy, I can tell. Many are weaker, a few are higher, and some are roughly Iruka's level. When the academy is out, I'll come get you. Iruka, too. Recall what you said. Kurama leapt out the window and vanished, saying, I'm holding you to them. Iruka turned to face Naruto and said, Look, Naruto. Tell me if you don't understand anything. I'll give you my best explanation, but since it's the middle of the school year, I'll have to introduce you. The academy focuses primarily on the fundamentals of knowledge and practical application. Nothing significant or hazardous. You have already experienced danger. That much is clear to me. The other teachers would only attempt to hurt you, and I'll call them out on a law I seem to recall hearing about if they do. I already heard about this. After all, Mom, Dad, and Nanaki will be teaching me the lessons in another way, Naruto said, nodding. Students entered and took seats in groups. Naruto was exploring the academy grounds, primarily to determine the best spots to hit, but he pretended to be lost or attempting to pinpoint his exact location, so, yeah, lost. He was able to return to Iruka's classroom, but he stopped when he heard his voice. In the classroom, all right, class, before we start, there is a new student who was unable to come in yesterday due to some kind of incident that kept him in the hospital, or so I've been told, Iruka said after concluding roll call. Enter now. Iruka glanced at Naruto as the door opened and he entered, saying, Please introduce yourself. Name, interests, dislikes, pastimes, and aspirations. Such things. He's not willing to show them the pain he's felt. Smart choice, for now, Iruka said, observing Naruto's fake smile. You can call me Naruto Uzumaki. I enjoy foxes, the forest, and ramen. Dislikes? Not many, but I am unable to identify them. Hobbies? Have none. Dreams? Not sure. Torn between 5 things. Naruto's contemplative expression changed to a broad, fox-like smile. That grin. It shows he's living with that fox. All right, Naruto. I saw the fox comment coming. So that we can start, find a seat and take it. I'm Iruka Amino, but you're supposed to call me Iruka Sensei from now on. Naruto nodded, then located a chair and took it. As Naruto sat down next to a girl with dark blue, nearly raven-colored hair, he thought, let's see how far my act can go. Looks like I found a seat next to a Hyuga. Naruto, who is 12 years old, just performed another practical joke while wearing an orange jumpsuit. He was now being pursued by Anbu. He escaped them, but Iruka caught him in the act. A.N. Standard Hokage monument prank. Naruto questioned, Iruka, sensei? I'm in trouble again, aren't I? Iruka seized Naruto by the nape of his neck and exclaimed, You're damn right, you are. Minutes later. In the front of the classroom, Naruto was restrained. Naruto, this is your graduation year, and you've yet to reach a level to pass. You should be training yourself in your weak areas, instead of playing all those stupid pranks. Naruto grumbled, the lectures are boring. I want to learn flashy jutsu, not this boring stuff. Iruka snarled. The class moaned, that's it. Thanks to Naruto, the class will review the Henge no Jutsu. Each student was addressed by name. Naruto made the hand sign when he was awake. Suddenly, a girl with clouds encircling her most intimate areas exclaimed, Henge, and blew a kiss at Iruka. It goes without saying that Iruka flew backwards, his nose bleeding. Naruto changed into something else as Iruka yelled, Cut the stupid tricks. This is your last warning. The others were taken aback by this one because the man appeared almost menacing. FF7. AC's Sephiroth comes to mind. The voice was equally ominous as it asked, and what will you do about it? At the sound of the voice, Iruka flinched. It's not Naruto's voice. He still needs to quit pulling practical jokes. Well, Iruka? Fine. You're good, but don't do that again, Naruto. Before he released the henge, Naruto would not typically laugh, but the chuckle that came out of his mouth changed to one that he would. He was asked by one of the students, just who was that? That was a man by the name of Sephiroth. Found some kind of legend. Something about the lifestream. That's how he was described. More dangerous than the Kyuubi is said to be, as he was ready to destroy the world. He was stopped right before he could, though. That was the lifestream warrior. One of the girls huffed, some legend. One of them made his eyes narrow. Sephiroth. That name. Naruto questioned, What's up, Shika? Unnaturally forewarning, the boy said, Naruto, if that guy ever shows up, do not, under any circumstances, trust him. Why not? You read the legend, right? Yeah, he came back, and faced off with the lifestream warrior again. Called him the one, winged angel. Well, at the end of the legend, and the last time he showed, it was foretold, I will never be a memory. Those were his last words, according to it. If they're true, then he will likely try to kill anyone and everyone. Naruto let out a sigh. I saw that part. No one can guarantee that, you know? When the other students witnessed the exchange, they were taken aback by Shikamaru's seriousness. Besides, if he did show up, the world as we know will be gone forever. He hasn't shown up yet, so he might never show up. Maybe it's the fact that he's part of a legend that he is more than a memory. No one knows, am I right? Then Shikamaru let out a sigh. Troublesome. You'd never listen to me anyway. However, he is unaware of the veracity of that legend. The only one who does is me. Even Iruka. Sensei is unaware. Naruto thought, I've been hiding that from him all this time. After classes, Iruka kept watch over Naruto as he was called to clean the monument. I don't know what to do with you, Naruto. You say you want to be a shinobi, but your actions say otherwise. You know I don't really understand lessons, Sensei. I have to learn them by doing. Aside from you, I've only been able to caught by Anbu. And that makes me think you're a learn by doing kind of person, but you can't teach academics like that. That's the problem. I can never truly figure out how to make it so history can make sense for you. I mean, you got math and physics down pat. Those were easy to transfer, because you use it all the time. Iruka acknowledged. Nothing else really works for you. Naruto was confronted by Kurama. Hit the monument this time? Naruto said, yeah. What's the word on your friends? They're about ready. One more thing to go through. However, it's more coming than I thought at first. Their entire group is coming. The Hokage has been giving you a monthly allowance because you're an orphan, and you haven't been using it that much. In fact, all you really use it for is ramen and dango. Well, those are the only places that will serve him. I'm still not sure why the dango shop owners let him in. No one else does, except those at Ichiraku's. Iruka replied. I mean, sometimes I have to buy a few things for him to eat, because he can't eat ramen all the time. I've been catching and eating my own meals when I don't eat ramen. I have Kurama to thank for that. Don't worry about it. Come to think of it, I'm surprised no one has done anything to you. I'll be honest and say that I didn't think anyone would like you in the area, Kurama. Anko, myself and Naruto are the only exceptions. Let's just say they've been attacking me a lot more often, and the hospital is filled every weekend. They just don't know when to let go of a grudge. Finish cleaning the monument, Naruto. After that, I'll treat you to ramen. Iruka said, all right. After 30 minutes of cleaning the monument, they proceeded to Ichiraku's ramen stand. Naruto, why did you hit the Hokage monument? Well, you know how one of my dreams is to become the Hokage, right? Replied Naruto. I'd surpass them all. Not like you are, you won't. They all have the book smarts. That kind of stuff isn't used often in the real world. You and I both know that. True as that is, no one else does. They won't think you're ready unless you can prove to them that you can handle the basics. I think a big weakness of yours is genjutsu, to be honest. As he finished another bowl, Naruto said, honestly, I do too. Thanks, Iruka, sensei. The owner said enthusiastically, come back soon, Naruto. As he walked away, Naruto said, sure thing, Tuchi.og. Iruka said, Tuchi, I think something's off with Naruto. I know. I could tell he's hiding something, but it's far beyond anything anyone ever has, or ever will, see. Not unless they can somehow go through multiple layers of mental and emotional defenses. That much I can guarantee. The following day for the graduation exam, everyone was prepared. For as long as he could, Naruto maintained his composure despite appearing excited. He went to the other classroom when it was his turn. Naruto, you've got the Bunshin no Jutsu. Chakra was charged by Naruto. He messed it up at the last minute after sensing the Mako interfering. He created one, but it appeared lifeless and pale. Fail, I'm sorry Naruto. Meanwhile, the other tester said, come on, Iruka. Come on. He rarely ever made one clone before. At least this time he made something appear. Surely that merits passing, right? Everyone else could make 3. Naruto only made 1. And look at it. It's pathetic. I'm sorry Naruto, but I can't pass you. Naruto seemed disappointed. Naruto sat dejectedly on the swing set outside the academy. Kurama approached him. A nod that said, you failed didn't you? Why? Bunshin no Jutsu. That sucks. Something was off about Mizuki. Sensei, though. I think you should stay hidden for now. He's got something planned, and I think it has something to do with me. If he attacks, I will kill him. As Kurama retreated into hiding, Naruto answered, I know. Mizuki approached Naruto. Can I talk to you for a minute, Naruto? Naruto nodded after giving him a look. Mizuki and Naruto were seated on a roof. Iruka doesn't mean to be harsh. He probably sees a bit of himself in you. I know. I just wanted to pass. Mizuki said, well then, there's no choice. The make up is what you can do. Make up exam. Mizuki clarified, yeah, here's what you have to do. Naruto's mind took a different turn. That's what he's doing, then. You're not really going to listen to this guy, are you? Consider it, Kurama. I am aware that it is a trap. I won't see it, he thinks. Go to Gigi and inform him of my scheme to expose a traitor. For the action, all standard procedures must be followed, as if they were unknown. Only Gigi, you, and I will be aware of this. I've been wanting to go one winged angel on his ass because I'm sick of his shit. So, what do you say? Will you take it? Naruto said, you bet, before taking off. Unknowingly, Mizuki and Naruto exchanged a thought. What a fool. Kurama went on to say, I second that. On second thought, we choose not to inform Gigi. Make your way directly to the livestream. Inform the others and ask if they are able to watch the entire event. Now that I think about it, your parents would probably get a laugh out of it. Slightly to the point. Got it. A few hours later. Naruto had completed his jutsu training using the scroll he had taken from the Hokage's tower. Livestream everyone, including Kurama, was in the arena. Additionally, there was a large monitor there that displayed Naruto mastering the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and learning several others by heart, including Kaden, Karyu Enden, Bunshin Daibakuha, and a few more. Kushina questioned, you really think this will work, Kurama? You think I'd be here if it wouldn't? Besides, he's been wanting to go Sephiroth on the guy's ass for who knows how long. Sephiroth said, this should be interesting, then. You're just interested because he wants to kill the bastard, Cloud replied. Not quite. Just that he hasn't really done anything else. I would have done something a lot worse, while he's catching a traitor with it. Sephiroth responded. Tifa acknowledged, not to mention that Orochi no Jutsu. Minato went on, yeah. That thing is a Kage killer. Any male Kage will either pass out from blood loss, or die from high blood pressure. Many eyes, including Sephiroth's, widened as Yuffie said, now that he's learned the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, think about what he could do by combining the two. As a result, Tifa, Genova, Aerith, and all the other males shouted at once. Fuck. However, Yuffie and Kushina grinned at the implication. Yuffie acknowledged, Kushina, I'm surprised you didn't shout at that idea. Of course I wouldn't. I know what it entails, and someone has to get rid of all the perverts. Besides, I've noticed that his godfather hasn't done anything for him all his life. I think he's been acting as a pervert. He's been writing the Icha Icha Paradise series, after all. And with the Bunshin Daibakuha, he could actually cause some collateral damage to anyone that isn't taken down by it. Yuffie said, my thoughts exactly. Nanaki said with a drop of perspiration, you two are just as crazy as each other. As everyone stared at the screen, Kurama said, shush, it's starting. With Naruto Iruka appeared after Naruto rolled up the scroll. Iruka. Sensei? You finally found me, huh? Iruka asked, his voice full of rage, what are you doing with that scroll? Mizuki. Sensei told me about it. Said if I learned a jutsu from it I'll pass the make up for the failure, and pass the exam, replied Naruto. Naruto, I thought da. He said, pushing Naruto aside as several kunai struck him. Pinned to the shack, Iruka said, so that's what's going on. Naruto witnessed the event. Iruka, sensei. Iruka yelled, Naruto, do not give him the scroll, no matter what you do. Nice job, Naruto. You wouldn't be able to understand it anyway. Hand it to me. I'll show you what it means, Mizuki said. As though he were lost, Naruto continued to glance between Iruka and Mizuki. Preserve the act. You must continue the act. I could even tell you why the village hates you. No, Mizuki. You know it's forbidden. Disregarding his cautions, Mizuki informed Naruto that he was the reincarnation of Kyuubi no Yoko. Naruto remained motionless. One of the Sandame's laws was just broken by him. That specific law is punishable by death. Furthermore, there are no Anbu present to prevent me from enforcing the penalty. Mizuki was on the verge of throwing a shuriken after removing it from his back. The sound of a chilly laugh took him by surprise, and, lo and behold, Naruto was the source. You know, Mizuki. You're the only one that actually had the gall to attack me, after a little threat that was posed years ago. If I were really the Kyuubi, then this village would have been destroyed years ago, and since you just broke the Sandame's law, became a traitor to the village, and happened to be about ready to attack a civilian, as I have yet to graduate and become a shinobi. That's 3 laws you've broken, 2 of which result in death. Naruto's voice was icy. It made Iruka shiver. What do you care? Try the fact that I knew something was up for months now. I know you've been putting genjutsu on my tests, making them harder than they really are. I've been wanting to take you down for who knows how long. And now, there's a damn good reason to, Naruto said. While spinning the shuriken in his hand, Mizuki exclaimed, "You're welcome to try, little fox." Then, a black wing materialized behind Naruto as he released a large amount of Mako. He gained 8 inches, and he grasped Masamune. His voice was emotionless and icy as he said, "I've been wanting to go Sephiroth on your ass all this time." He made a hand sign and used Masamune to parry the shuriken before stabbing it in the ground. "And now that I can, I might as well. But first," he said. Suddenly, 500 Narutos that resembled Sephiroths appeared in the clearing. "I think I should show you what I learned from the scroll. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," and all while wearing a Masamune. Their voices were monotone as they asked, "Shall we give you to spare?" Mizuki was taken aback by the sheer number. Moreover, Masamune was in their possession. The sword that Sephiroth last wielded. One of them asked, "Tell us what you cherish most." With a tone of heartless optimism, another said, "Give us the pleasure of taking it away." You can't do this." Iruka was stunned by what was happening and said nothing. "If you won't talk, then we'll just outright annihilate you." After beating him, they all threw him into the air, with some of them flying up after him and tearing him to pieces. All of the clones dispersed as the fragments hit the ground. Naruto turned to face Iruka. "Sorry I had to keep that a secret, Iruka. Sensei." The response was, "Naruto, come here for a second, close your eyes." A little cautiously, he did. He sensed his goggles change, giving way to something else. "No way, is he?" Iruka said, "Okay, open your eyes." Instantly recognizing his goggles in Iruka's hands, Naruto touched the object and discovered it to be Iruka's headband. "Congratulations. You graduate." Behind him, someone cleared his throat. Sarutobi said, "I think I should congratulate you as well, Naruto." Iruka and Naruto gazed at him. Naruto was the first to speak. "I'm in trouble, aren't I?" "Actually, you're in the clear. I saw what happened, already. Everything." Naruto gasped. "Why did you hide your skills, Naruto? That's not like you." In response, Naruto said, "2 words. The council. You should be able to figure it out from there." Sarutobi astonished a little. "The council is idiotic. Kurama's been watching over it as well. It's filled with power-hungry idiots. And the majority of the civilians want me dead, the clan heads want nothing to do with me, and one of the elders wants to make me a weapon. Why else would I play the fool? Kurama taught me how to survive, after all. And this is part of it. Kid, they love the show you put on. Sephiroth himself is glad at what you did." "Kurama. Who else, Kit?" Kurama revealed. "Your father is actually quite proud. Now that you've got your headband, the secret can come out." "What secret?" Sarutobi asked, his eyes narrowing. "You haven't wondered how I got this strong, even with the Anbu trying to keep watch over me?" Replied Naruto. "I know they have, even Hinata has. I intentionally played the fool, and during all this, I've been learning everything from, I guess you could say, the dead, Mom, Dad, and about 9 others. Then there's dead shinobi from every country, so I can learn their secrets from those that hated their own home, and would have loved to see them destroyed. Basically, I've only been attending the academy for protocol. It was to get the headband. However, I'll never be able to learn the Bunshin no Jutsu. That's why I actually went through with this. My dad knew that the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu was on the scroll. Said I should learn it when I got the chance. He's seen my life since I was 6, so has my mom." With wide eyes, Sarutobi questioned, "You've known who they were?" To which Naruto answered, "Of course I have. Also, Iruka. Sensei, your parents are glad you're not letting their death get to you anymore." Sarutobi said, "How do you know this?" Instead, Iruka said, "Wait, Hokage. Sama. Naruto. That's what you've been hiding all this time, isn't it? I figured you noticed it. What you just saw was beyond the 4th mask I had up. That was the last one. In the entire village, you, Gigi, the Ichiraku family, and Enko made it by my first mask. You and Gigi had cracked the second one, but didn't get past it. Now that I've got my headband, all of them are getting dropped. Of course, without my true skills on record, no one will know what I'm truly capable of. Naruto glanced at Mizuki's head, which was, it's a really good thing that Dad suggested I use a blood clone, send it to the academy, and take out a few bandit camps during the academy. It helps when your first kill is doing something that you utterly loathe, you know. Sarutobi and Iruka gazed at him. Iruka questioned, what were they doing? Iruka saw the point and nodded, raping several women. Iruka retorted, you detest rapists deeply. I can see why that helps. As do I, but to know you've been holding back this much. Oh, that wasn't all I can do. Besides, the council can't do shit about this one, because I was merely administering a punishment of breaking 3 laws, 2 of which warrant death, anyway. I simply took care of it before the Anbu could. Besides, Gigi. You and I both know that the Kyuubi is no longer sealed within me. What do you mean? I haven't been sealed within him ever since he was 6. That chase sent us to the livestream, where his parents are at the moment. They're pissed at Jiraiya for not showing, and they both agreed when I told them. Oh, and Naruto. Your mom said that you should try the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu with your Kage Killer, and then combine that with the Bunshin Daibakuha, and use that on Jiraiya. 1. For not bearing his duties as godfather. 2. For being a stupid, thick-headed, super pervert. Your father heard that, and then agreed. Cloud and Tifa. They're surprised that your mother actually wanted those 2 to come up. What about Yuffie and Vincent? They all want to see you as soon as possible. The geostigma is gone, and as such, the only thing left for me to do here is protect you until Genova gives the go for Cloud and Tifa to come. Iruka said, Naruto. What are you 2 talking about? While Sarutobi remained silent. Naruto scratched the back of his head and said, well, they're the ones that have been training me all this time. Yes. That's Naruto. Okay, Iruka pondered. Well, I'd like to thank them for doing such a good job with your skills. But how did you manage to hide their interference? Naruto sighed before removing the scroll from his back and throwing it to Sarutobi. Hey. They've been in the livestream. That's where I've been learning. There, I've got a day for every hour here. I've been going there every night, and on the breaks. That's also where I'm every October 10th, as well. It's how I stay hidden. It's also how I've kept my skills secret. Only Kurama and I know how to get there. Here's this back, Gigi. Sorry I didn't tell you about this, but I didn't really want interference, you know? You would have had Anbu arrest him, and my entire plan would have gone to waste. Speaking of which, I think I should get going. Well, for taking out a new missing nin, you've earned the headband. Sarutobi replied. As much as I don't like how you got it, I'm glad you made it in. Your parents should be proud. Kurama said, you do realize that they saw the whole thing, right? In fact, all his trainers did. They're waiting for him in the livestream, now. Iruka inquired, is it possible for me to come with? I really need to meet the ones who managed to teach him. Hiruzen, remember when I told you that a few were coming to take care of Naruto after a while? A smile. Well, they happened to be 2 of his trainers. Then Sarutobi's expression changed to one of shock. Naruto said in a level voice, Hokage. Sama, no one can know what I've been hiding until it's revealed by me. There are reasons for this, and I can't claim to know how this has been going on, and keep everyone around me safe. The moment the council finds out, you know they will be calling for blood. Regardless of the fact I was merely upholding the law. Sarutobi observed that Naruto did not use the nickname and that the tone was solemn. He was aware of the gravity of the situation. I see. Iruka, I want you to know that the events here are not to be talked about. Period. SS. Class secret, meaning instant death. Unless Naruto and myself give the go, you cannot say a word. The council will not hear about you taking him out, but they will know that you were tricked into stealing it, thus marking him as a traitor. Anbu disposed of him before he could do anything else. Naruto, Iruka, and Kurama all nodded. Thank you. I must be going. Kurama glanced at Iruka and said, wait. Iruka, Genova has wanted you to come as well, and told me how I can make it happen. We'll need Naruto's help as well as my own. What do you mean? Inquired Iruka. Wait, you don't mean. That's what I was told. I'm not even sure if it will work. We'll need Region, multiple casts of Karaga, and Mayuki to do the trick. Naruto countered, you know how dangerous that is. That's why Region and Karaga are needed. His body wouldn't be able to handle Mayuki. The Mako used in the spells should counteract the harmful effects. That's Genova's line of thinking. I can't claim to agree, but if it does work, once he goes there once, he should be able to get through again without our help. Naruto said, I'll do it. He turned his head so quickly that he might have been whipped. Iruka. Sensei. Naruto, you're more powerful than I am. I know that now. I want to at least get to know the people who gave birth to you, if not, the ones that trained you to be as good as you are. If it can help me talk to them, I'll do it. If not, I'll die, and I'll still be able to meet them. Naruto sighed, a little hesitant. Iruka was struck by green energy as he held up a hand and said, "All right. First, I'll get you to perfect health. Kuraga. Region. Kuraga." Iruka's condition rapidly improved. Then he had an idea. Then he was struck by something else. Poisona. "What's that one for?" Naruto asked. "Poisona cures poison, right?" And was given a nod. "If he's not poisoned, then it should help reduce the effects of incoming poison. In theory, at least." Then Kurama's expression changed to one of shock. "Hey, why didn't I think of that?" As Kurama bit Iruka in the leg, channeling Yuki into the bite, Naruto said, "No idea, but let's do this. Later, Gigi." Naruto then cast Kuraga and Poisona several times before they all departed for the lifestream. Lifestream Kurama, Iruka, and Naruto ended up in an arena. Iruka's eyes blinked at the view. "Where am I?" Naruto said, "Kuraga." One final time. Iruka felt better immediately. Aerith said, "I see Genova was right. Aerith Gainsborough, the last Cetra." Iruka reached out to her. "Iruka Amino." She pointed to the others and said, "I know who you are. We all do." Naruto noticed Kushina and Minato's smiles and rushed to them. Their embrace was three-way. With pride in his voice, Minato said, "Way to go, son." "Thanks, Dad." Kushina said, "You know that, right? We're both proud of you." Naruto grinned broadly as he nodded. Barrett attracted their attention by saying, "Hey, they're not the only ones." Naruto turned to face the others. "Spiky, Vincent, and Yuffie have something to give ya. It's for graduating." Naruto gave them a look. With Tifa at his heels, Cloud took the lead. He sketched the first Tsurugi. "This is now yours. You've been training for it all this time. I've been waiting for you to graduate to give this to you." Naruto reached for the blade. This is an honor. I can't believe you're giving me first Tsurugi." I've got a spare. Of course, mine is second Tiberian. You can thank Barrett for making second Tiberian so I could give it to you." Then Tifa gave him a pair of gloves that didn't have fingers. "I'm also giving you premium heart. The more you want to protect your friends, the more dangerous they'll be. For your opponent, at least." She grinned. He was approached by Vincent, who gave him Cerberus. "I have no use for this. I have asked Minato to modify it so you can use your chakra, or Mako energy, to fire it. Now that they have, it's yours to use as you see fit." With it in his hand, Naruto answered, "Thanks, Vinny. This is a good thing to have." Yuffie yelled, "Hey, don't forget about me." Turning, Naruto faced her. "How could I forget about you?" Yuffie gave him a smile. She took out Conformer and said, "I have two things for you. The first is this. You remember Conformer? It's now yours." Naruto gave a nod. "What's the other one?" Yuffie said, "That one would require privacy." Naruto nodded after rapidly understanding the meaning. Iruka gazed at the two, then widened his eyes as he finally made sense of the situation. "You're not really going to do that, are you?" "Why not?" inquired Kushina. After all, she did ask if that could happen as a graduation present. Minato acknowledged, "I don't know why I agreed with it." Kushina smiled as she told him, "It's because I did, and nearly forced you to." As Yuffie and Naruto walked out of the area to one of the private rooms, Tifa said, "Don't worry, you two. I'll make sure that Naruto doesn't become a pervert when I get there." Cloud said, "I'm going to help. The only reason I'm not going to stop it is because they've been drifting closer than most would like. They're too much alike to even try and convince them to do otherwise." "Little Yuffie is making Naruto a man. It had to be her," acknowledged Sid. "I may not know everything about love, but I know that stopping them will incite a lot of wrath." Sephiroth said, "And with all of us training him, that's bad. And when he says it's bad, you know that it's actually a cataclysmic event that could very well destroy a few planets before it settles down," Cloud said. Aerith attracted everyone's attention by saying, "Also, she wouldn't be able to get pregnant here. It's downright impossible to do that here, as she's already dead. She can't give birth. It just doesn't work that way." Iruka let out a sigh of relief. He said, "All right, fine." He glanced at Kushina and Minato. "Am I to assume you're his parents?" Both of them gave a nod. When Iruka finally recognized Minato, his eyes widened. "And you're the Yondaime. No wonder Hokage. Sama kept your identity as his father a secret." "Iwa, Kumo, and possibly Kiri would go after him if they knew. Iwa, definitely. Kumo, possibly. Kiri, not unless they knew that he was a survivor of the Uzumaki clan. Minato responded, that isn't likely unless he actually did something to piss them off. Besides, the only bloodline he would have gotten from us was replaced. Acknowledged Kushina. Well, aside from the chakra multiplier part. That one was there the moment he was born. He has at least 10 times as much chakra being an Uzumaki. I've noticed it's still there. Is that why he's been failing at the Bunshin no Jutsu? Too much chakra? Then Kushina snorted, hey. I wish, normally, an Uzumaki wouldn't be able to use the Bunshin no Jutsu unless they could walk on water. My son and myself will never be able to use it. Genjutsu is not our strong point. In fact, the only thing we can do with them is dispel them. Bunshin no Jutsu is one such jutsu. That's a Jinchuriki thing. When you're using a jutsu, part of the separate chakra tries to come along. A Biju's chakra is at least 5 times as potent as a human's chakra. I've performed a Suiryuden with 1/5 the amount of chakra by drawing on Kurama's chakra. He calls it Yuki, though. But if Kurama isn't sealed inside of him, then what's causing him to stop it? Kushina said, my only guess is Mako. I don't know the potency ratio of chakra to Mako. For that, you'd have to ask him. Cloud acknowledged, I've felt the difference. Comparing chakra to Mako is hard unless you've actually used Mako yourself. I've been doing so, and had it ingrained into my cells. From them using a Suiryuden, I could compare it to Blizzara in strength. I also noticed that it doesn't take anywhere near as much Mako to mix with chakra. Naruto's the first that can do so. Kurama's gaze wavered. Damn Kit, he's already gotten it out of her. The fox caught everyone's attention. What? To which Kushina replied, you can hear them. Through our link only. My ears aren't picking up anything, and for good reason. He put up silencing seals on the walls and door. We wouldn't be able to bust through the wall with a Rasengan at 5x max power, moving at Mach 3. With a low voice and wide eyes, Minato uttered, Hiraishin moves at Mach 2. He really wants to do this, doesn't he? You have no idea. Though it sounded more like an order, Kushina said, then why don't you enlighten us? You ever wondered what it would be like to feel like you're in heaven, hell, and on earth, experiencing all three simultaneously? Cloud acknowledged, I've been there. Only once, though. Cloud said with wide eyes, that would pretty much sum it up. You have got to be kidding me. Everyone's eyes were on him. Tifa questioned, is that bad? Bad. Maybe. Outright insane? More likely. Sephiroth insane? That would still pale in comparison? Sephiroth asked, how many times are you going to play the Sephiroth is insane card? I only play that one these days because everyone else here gets the idea highly quick, said Cloud. Minato said, look on the bright side. He shuddered at the picture and said, there's only one person I've ever met that exceeds the insanity they say is yours. Iruka, can I ask a favor? Of course, Yondaime. Sama. Drop the Sama crap, please. I'm dead already. I don't need your respect. Plus, I'm not the Hokage anymore. And the third reason. It makes me feel old. Minato was upset. Kushina acknowledged, my husband was never one for formalities. In fact, he downright hated them. Our son got that from him. By the way, Aerith, can you play the last prank he played on the Hyuga clan? Aerith pointed to the screen and said, sure thing. That one was a good one. Naruto was seen putting some seals in the compound. He had not yet been apprehended. He left it there after getting out. Everything went off when he returned to the livestream at dusk that evening. The Hyuga estate was painted red throughout. At that, Iruka couldn't help but chuckle. That chuckle became a giggle. He's the one that did that. That one had several Anbu searching for a perpetrator for weeks. But half of the village, academy students to civilians, all the way up in rank to the Hokage, thought it was funny. The only exceptions were the stuck snobs, and the Hyuga clan themselves. Come to think of it, Hinata's room was oddly untouched. Iruka glanced toward Naruto. If he did that, why did he leave her room out of it, thus leaving her safe? Cloud said, it was Yuffie's idea to hit them. From what we've seen, she's the only Hyuga that's not stuck up or arrogant. Minato gave that a nod. That right there is why. He hit them where it hurts. Their pride. Although, I'll admit that he should have used a different color. Before the screen displayed it, Kurama remarked, no, he chose that color for a reason. Check the inside of the north wall. Right there. That's why he chose red. He put the Sharingan on it. That's why they gave up on it. Either it was a ghost doing that, or Sasuke Uchiha, Because of the simple fact that there's only one Uchiha in the village. Arrogant bastards tried to start a coup d'etat. Did I ever mention how much I hated those bastards? Kushina continued, you and me both, Kurama. Their arrogance was their downfall. I think Itachi did us a favor more than once. At least Naruto also knows the truth. Startled, Iruka questioned, wait, the Uchiha clan was planning a coup d'etat? The elders and Hokage, along with Itachi, are the only ones supposed to know. Everyone here knows. Even Naruto knows, as he watched them plan it a couple times. We even took time off to watch their slaughter. Kurama acknowledged. Sephiroth said, if anything, they deserve their destruction. Hell, if Itachi didn't do it, I would have. Cloud remarked, like you destroyed Nibelheim? More controlled than that. That was uncontrolled rage. This would be a lot more focused, and I'd only take out those that should have been taken out. Not the ones that had nothing to do with it. Tifa said, that's not like you, you know? Sephiroth acknowledged, before Naruto? Most definitely not. I don't know when or how, but he's changed my views, at least partially. Iruka let out a sigh. Yawn. Minato, why did you seal Kurama into him? Minato blinked. You're his sensei, right? A smile. Well, you should know that I wouldn't force a subordinate to do something I wouldn't. Even though a Hokage has to put the safety of the village above their own life, I didn't want to abandon any family I had left. I'm here now, instead of the Shinigami's stomach, like I should be. Shiki Fujin does that. When he was 6, I was transferred here. I've taught my son everything I know, even what I was planning to do with the Rasengan. It was never finished, you know. It was still a feared jutsu. So was Hiraishin. Yet it was flawed, but it was extremely feared. Said Minato. If I could use it without seals, it would be a lot more useful. Iruka saw his point and nodded. He nodded and said, destroy the seals, destroy the jutsu, right? If I may, where do you think he is? You want personal or professional? Why not both? Inquired Iruka. Minato considered it. He's made me prouder than I ever thought he would, for one. He's far stronger than I was at his age, that's for sure. If nothing else, he could take on an A-rank rogue with relative ease. If you want a professional opinion, I'd say he's low Junin level, but would easily be an Anbu if he had the experience outside the village. Experience is the reason he's that low with his skills. Iruka inquired, where would you say he's best? Tifa said, mind if I answer that? Minato indicated her, if you ask me, he's no specialist. In fact, he has no given specialty. He's a jack of all trades, so to speak. Everyone's attention was drawn to Sephiroth's statement, I beg to differ. He does have a specialty, but it's not one that's easily picked up from the outside unless shown outright, and he never does show it. Hell, I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know it. Really, I saw something like that myself while I was training him. Cloud said, if he has any specialty, it's the impossible. Sephiroth acknowledged, I hate it when we agree, but yeah, that's what I saw. Vincent continued, it's strange that those two are the only ones who noticed. According to Kushina, actually, 3. I noticed, and he got that from me. Minato gave him a forehead slap. Why didn't I notice it before? That he acts so much like I do. Not only that, but thinks like you do. He has my looks, my aptitude for learning, and complexity. From you, he's got the personality, chakra types, minus the Mako, appetite, and mindset. Minato clarified. That's just begging for disaster if he turns his full wrath on someone. Cloud pointed to Sephiroth and Avalanche and remarked, add in the fact he was trained by all of us. Needless to say, if anyone pisses him off, and they underestimate him, they're dead, no contest. Minato made a deadpan statement, that's what I'm afraid of. Kurama and Aerith looked in the direction of Naruto. Why the fuck did he do that? You know what caused Yuffie to lose her connection to the livestream? Incredulously, Kurama questioned, she lost the connection? You didn't know? Cloud asked, what are you two talking about? Kushina, remember when I told you about the maid mark? Yeah, what about it? Kushina stiffened and said, the kid marked her. Yuffie also has lost her connection to the livestream. She was dead, but now that the connection is gone, I think he revived her. Aerith acknowledged. I'll be blunt here. I think if he gives a mate mark here, and the person is already dead, something will happen. As to what, I have a theory. You don't mean? That's the idea. I think he actually did revive her when he marked her. Of course, that's only a theory. What surprises me, is she seems younger in appearance. Aerith gave Genova a look. Genova, I think we may need Godo to come here. He'd give a more accurate age of where she would be at, if she did shrink in her age. Genova answered, I know. And who better than her father to let us know? Iruka acknowledged. I think I should wait here. I also don't think it wise to disturb them. Kurama acknowledged. We wouldn't be able to if we tried. They're both unconscious, but the barrier is now twice as strong. That was the last thing that I saw through our link. After that, everything went blank. A large man walked in and asked, what happened to my daughter? Kushina gave him a look. In bed with my son, Godo. What? When Minato said, we wouldn't be able to get in there if we tried. I highly doubt you could move at Mach 6, and hit it with a lightning element attack using the momentum to increase damage. Even I can't break it. And I'm a Biju, Sephiroth said, even if I tried, I couldn't break it. Godo heard what he had to say after seeing him. Grabbing Cloud's collar, he said, why? Why did you let this happen? And raised him. You're talking about someone that's been trained by everyone here, minus Genova and Aerith. This includes Yuffie. If it's any consolation, it's obviously not her first time. It definitely is for him. She knew everything, he didn't. I could give you a play-by-play, if you want. Godo gave the enormous fox a scowl. Without wasting any time, Kurama shared the link he had seen and said, tell me. Everything. To be honest, Godo was a little taken aback. Godo was quiet when he was done. Aerith nodded when the conclusion was directed at her. May not be the best of circumstances, but we think she's actually alive now. Only 3 people are here that are not one with the livestream, right? Another nod. And it started at 2? Only 2 were alive before this happened. I think it revived her, but I'm not sure. And that idea came from where? I'm actually alive. Near as I can figure, anyway. I can only guess, out of context, this place is like the land of the dead, Iruka stated. If you're not dead, then you wouldn't be able to come here. Cloud said, I did and I was alive. Tifa thumbed Cloud and added, I went in and got him out. The only reason Naruto lived through it is because of me. Now, he can manipulate Mako. I'll admit one thing. He channels it through his body better than Shinra did for power, Cloud continued. Sephiroth said nothing. Seeing it, Sid raised his voice. You got nothing to say, motherfucker? I do, but I don't know how to. Something gratifying, I'd bet. More than that, actually. I have no experience with it and thus, don't even know how I feel about it. How would I be able to explain it? Minato saw it when she looked into his eyes. Pride for someone else, but not yourself. First time that ever happened? Sephiroth tensed up. Then he let out a sigh. That's what it was. Zack. Tifa and Cloud both noticed and tensed. Both of them turned to face Naruto. Cloud began by saying, you don't think. Tifa answered, no, but obviously he does. Thinking back on it, so do I. Really, I don't see it. Kushina gave them a look. Any chance of explaining your little conversation? They both gave her a look. An old comrade of mine. His name is Zack Fair. He went out before I did. Promised him I'd live out both our lives. I did. His sword was used as his gravestone. I took up a copy of his sword in his memory. The Buster Sword, though common, was his weapon of choice. He preferred that over a gun, which was even more common. Tifa went on, he was good with it, no doubt. Sephiroth didn't hear anything because she was deep in thought. He used them, I used them, and now. Naruto's using them. Damn. He uses a Zanbato. Those things are heavy as hell, you know? Kushina responded. The said Harbinger didn't even acknowledge his name when he said, a katana may be lighter, but we don't go that route. Sephiroth does. Who, apparently, isn't even listening. Any word on them? Godo inquired anxiously. They'll be out of it for a while. Iruka, I can take you back when you wish. Well, there's only 5 hours to sunrise from when we came here, and usually I'm up at that point. With a perplexed expression, Cloud said, hey. You've got 5 days. Time flows differently here. You've basically got a day for every hour. Time ratio is 124, so you know. Naruto's been hiding his true form back home. Best if he does that back home, and train it here. Said Minato. Before you ask how, I'm the reason he can. His class is not going to recognize him. He's got an entire wardrobe that's going to transfer with him this time. Which reminds me. Minato reached for a scroll. I think it's time he got his inheritance. I can't give it, and this scroll came from Konoha. As such, it's real, and I want you to give it to Sarutobi, or whoever the hell is Hokage at this point. Say it was something you got from a dead man that's concerned for his son's well-being. Iruka took the scroll and said, of course. With a serious tone, Minato said, I would appreciate it if you gave it to him before you do anything else when you get back. I was planning on doing that anyway. I think of Naruto as a brother, you know? A broad smile spread across Minato's face. Good. Kushina acknowledged. He does that. Sometimes, I wonder if he's bipolar. You know you love me. I do, and I know why you do that. Naruto does the same. Serious when needed, but playful when it's not. One word of advice: never let him get bored. I've seen some of his pranks. I know not to let him get bored. Kushina pointed up and said, no, those pranks are nothing compared to what he's done here. Iruka saw a boat with wings after following the finger. That's one of the tame ones. Iruka's mouth dropped open. He did that? Kurama acknowledged. If nothing else, I'd say Sid did his job. With a cigarette in his hand, Sid said, that's right, motherfucker. Too bad I couldn't teach him my manner of speaking. Kushina acknowledged that he didn't need to. Being an orphan, you pick it up anyway. Vincent continued, especially when the vast majority of people despise you. Everybody gave a nod. I still think he could up the ante a bit. Kurama laughed. Kit woke up. Girl's still out of it. Kushina, you go in fur. That's just wrong. Suddenly concerned, Kushina asked, what's wrong? He finally realized that Yuffie was right next to him, and he jumped up to the ceiling fan. He stopped. The scream he emitted at that point woke her up, confusing her. Now the barrier's down. The first people to break through the door were Kushina, Minato, and Godo. Alright, Godo and Minato entered the room. When they did, they discovered Kushina inside. They discovered a hole in the wall as well. What took you so long? Kushina nodded as Minato said, now I see why ninja rarely use doors, they take too long. Godo asked, you just realized that? Hey, I only noticed when I was the leader of an entire ninja corps. It was just second nature to me, so I never saw that I rarely, if ever, used a door when there was a window to the room I was going for. Minato responded. Hiruzen thought that way as well. Naruto said, Gigi is a good guy, smart as hell, too. He's not called the professor for no reason, you know? Naruto said, yet he's never figured out how to defeat the paperwork. Minato simply blinked a couple of times before laughing aloud. Before realizing her father was present, Yuffie said, he's got the mind to come up with it, but not the ingenuity. You've got that in spades. Oh shit. What were you doing with my daughter? His graduation present. See that headband? That's his official uniform for being a shinobi. Thought I could make him a man because of it, Yuffie said. I'm getting too old for shit. Naruto said, nah, you're not aging here. If you want old, you really need to see Gigi. He's what? 60? 70? Close enough. Naruto acknowledged something. Godo said, you're right, I didn't hold a candle to him. Wait, why am I agreeing with you? You just. Naruto acknowledged, if it's any comfort, I don't intend on doing that again. Everyone's attention was drawn to Kushina's statement, not gonna be that simple, Naruto. You don't know what that mark on her neck means, do you? Startled, Yuffie questioned, what mark? Before examining it, it resembled a fox perched atop the Uzumaki spiral. You mean this fox on the whirlpool? After looking it over, Kushina questioned, that's what it came out as. So it is. Anyway, in human terms, that mark signifies marriage. Basically, it means, back off, I'm taken. And anyone who doesn't realize this will meet a cruel end within an hour. However, it's supposed to leave when the one it's on dies. Naruto's gaze expanded. You mean? Yuffie began, no, I couldn't be. They exchanged glances. The two of them yelled, you revived you, me, simultaneously. Godo, Kushina, and Minato all suppressed a laugh. Kushina didn't, all right. The two blushed as she burst out laughing. It dawned on Godo then. Yuffie, why do you look like you're 15 years old again? She blinked. I do? I think we should ask Kurama for details on this. Through the hole? Kushina exclaimed as she leapt out of the hole, with Yuffie and Naruto naturally following. Fortunately, they were already dressed. After shrugging, Godo and Minato left. Konohagakure at dawn. Yuffie, Naruto, and Iruka were atop the Hokage monument. Iruka said, this is where you come out. Sometimes, yes. I can go in anywhere there is nature, of course, it's always easier for me to do so in the forest, said Naruto. Yuffie looked out and remarked, well, it's one thing to describe something, but it's a whole other prospect when I see it myself. Naru, your description just doesn't give this view justice. I gave the view of the daytime, when I can actually relax. Not sunrise, sunset, which is actually a little better than this one, or night on a cloudless night. On a cloudless night. That's the best view anyone can get from this spot. Think Cosmo Canyon from the sky, only reversed. Yuffie gave a nod. Definitely a sight to see. Iruka said, if it's okay with you, I must see the Hokage. Naruto said, we're coming with. She needs to see Gigi, after all. We can play her off as an arranged marriage set up before I was born, and it's just one of the many secrets I've kept until now. I love you, you know that. Likewise. Iruka almost went pale as they both grinned like fox. He leapt off. Yuffie and Naruto ended up in the Hokage's office after they were sunshined out. The office of the Hokage. With a sigh, Sarutobi started his paperwork. Yuffie, Naruto, and Iruka came into the room. He produced a scroll and said, Hokage. Sama, we're back. And I've got a message for you. Great. As if I didn't have enough paperwork. I was told that it was from a dead man that's worried about his son's well-being. Iruka acknowledged. Although Naruto understood what he meant right away, he remained silent and didn't show it. Dad is working on something. I simply know it. Yuffie attracted everyone's attention by asking, when are they not, Naru? Did she read my thoughts? Iruka said, Yuffie, what are you talking about? Well, shit. I believe we can use the mate mark to broadcast our thoughts to one another, Yuffie. Nod once if you heard that. Yuffie gave a single nod. The other two gave Naruto a questioning glance as he said, well, that explains that. Iruka and Sarutobi nodded and said, we can talk telepathically. Don't ask how. Anyway, who is this? Yuffie Kasaragi, my hometown is Wutai. I've never heard of it. Naruto said, I didn't a year ago. Considering the fact my mom set up an arranged marriage between us before I was born, I don't think you'd know of it. Met her after the incident when I was 6. We've been bonding ever since. When Sarutobi asked, how did you pick up medical ninjutsu? You mean Karaga? Inquired Naruto. Sorry, but that's something I learned from Yuffie, and it's not even ninjutsu, medical or otherwise. You mean to tell me, you have a bloodline? You didn't know? Inquired Naruto. It allows me to access Mako energy. Mako fuels those kinds of jutsu. With Mako, I can pull off a Suiryuden without any effort, or sign of exhaustion. Hell, I could make 2 with my own chakra. I've got that much, and the control to back it up. Sarutobi gave a nod. This is an interesting bloodline. How did you get it? I know Kushina doesn't have, and neither does your father. Event at 6. That's all I will say. Also, Yuffie should be on a team with me. I know the selection process, and that she's already a Kunoichi, in title. She's the only Kasaragi alive, after all, she's good with training. Show me. No need to, sir. I've already seen what she can do, and if I could, I'd give her Chunin status. She asked for Genin, though. Specialties? Iruka said, you don't want to know? Now, I'm even more curious. Trust me, Gigi, you don't want to know. Sarutobi gave Naruto a critical glance. Then Yuffie produced a wallet. I believe this is yours? Upon glancing at her, Sarutobi noticed that she was holding his wallet. How did you? She threw herself at him. That wasn't even my specialty. I can do that with virtually anything. Oh, and if you see me pull out anything reminiscent of an oversized shuriken, back up. You don't want to get close to them. Next, Sarutobi examined the scroll that Iruka had given him. Iruka nodded and said, this scroll is about Naruto, isn't it? Naruto took out another scroll and remarked, that reminds me. I have another one for you. He threw it to him and said, this one's from my mom. His eyes grew wide as he read Minato's first. Minato, you love causing me pain, don't you? Nah, he just hates the fact that Sennin didn't take his responsibilities to the forefront. Then he opened the scroll of Kushina. His eyes grew wide as he finished reading it, and he slammed his head against the desk in front of him, causing Iruka to perspire. Iruka looked at and read the scroll. Hiruzen. Despite your intelligence, you were never able to outsmart paperwork? 2 words. Bunshin Cage. Oh, and if you're reading this alone, with only your Anbu guard, Naruto, Yuffie, and Iruka present, ignore all official rules and do whatever comes to mind, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else. The Kushina Iruka questioned, that's how you do it. Naruto shot back, hey, that's how Dad did it. That's how I plan to do it. Sarutobi stopped hitting his head on the desk, rubbed his forehead, and threw Yuffie a red headband with the Konohagakure symbol on the metal plate. You're good to go. I've got the details of your abilities from Minato, stating that he found this to happen anyway. He also stated a team for you two to be on. I will only say this. I think it's overpowered, but he's right. Naruto, show her around the village. Be at the academy this afternoon at 1500. Your usual classroom. Yuffie, you are to go with him. Both of them nodded and left without any chakra being utilized. With wide eyes, Sarutobi asked, was that pure speed? Iruka acknowledged, yes, and I've seen him move faster. You're kidding me. No sir. Iruka nodded, realizing that Yuffie was likely too much like Naruto. Get ready for the day. Those two alone will be a handful, if what Minato said is correct. Yuffie and Naruto were seated at the top of the classroom. Yuffie was dressed in Advent Children clothing that had been reduced in size to fit her current body type. In contrast, Naruto's attire was significantly different from his typical attire. He had on black Anbu style trousers and a black shirt that appeared to be a robe or bodysuit. Additionally, he wore a pair of dark gray, 80% black, pauldrons on his shoulders and black sleeves that were just the right amount of loose to cover his body without letting someone else see it if they were close enough. In addition to covering his wrists, the sleeves were long enough to reveal his hands. In addition, he wore sandals that resembled black boots and pants that reached his ankles. If you examine his shoulder blades closely, you can see tiny concave indentations that would allow something to protrude if necessary. However, nobody is aware that those were deliberate. A few of the graduates were absent, but the majority were already present. They heard footsteps at that moment. In his mind, Naruto said, now, for the ones that I really hate. The double banshees. Pink and blonde. Come on, they can't be that bad. Ever wondered why I have those seals on the back of my head? Come to think of it, what do they do? I never got around to asking. They're the reason it came up. Picture Bahamut emulating a banshee. That bad? Worse, actually. By the way, I'm glad that Sephiroth and Cloud taught me Kenjutsu while they used materia summons. I had to get them readjusted, just so I can block out him, and still block these two out. First, almost at the same time, a blonde girl and a girl with pink hair came into the room. The only people who saw the truth were Yuffie and Naruto. The blonde, Ino, entered first. I saw that, Naruto thought. Yeah, she did. Gonna comment? Nah. I'll keep myself out of the loop. You? Then, with his arms folded in front of them, Naruto asked, why not? They both became enraged when he said, will you two just shut up? Ino came in first. About 6 milliseconds before you, Sakura. Now shut up, and take a look at your so-called love affection, who, if you ask me, is gay. They then turned to face Sasuke and saw that the boy in front of them was also seated next to him, and that another girl was sitting next to him. Sasuke was beside the wall as well. Naruto yelled, Haruno Protection 8, before a few of the men in the room gave a hand seal. Then Sakura let out a loud scream. Instead, Sasuke fainted and passed out, his ears gushing blood. Good job Sakura. Now you made your gay love interest deaf, said Naruto. Good thing I gave several males in here seals to block out your banshee. Like Screech. Too bad Sasuke didn't bother taking it. The entire class responded to this in different ways. The eyes of one of the girls and the males who activated the seals on them widened. Though she was unable to confirm it, she believed it to be him. She proved it with that. Told you it was worse, Yuffie. Sasuke's companion said, next time, I won't doubt you. Man am I glad I've heard worse before. Seriously, Rama is already deaf, and yet he'd be able to hear it. Glad I activated yours? Big time. Naruto then vanished in a cloud of smoke after saying, you're welcome, Haim. A man shouted, hold on. He had brown hair and fang. Like marks on his cheek. Since when did you ever wear anything other than orange? Naruto retorted, you are so naive, Kiba. You think I wore that because I thought it looked cool? Well, yeah. Such a foolish mistake. Yuffie shook her head. So that's the Inuzuka? Yeah. Real loud mouth, and definitely a bitch to outrun. For most academy students, anyway. Noted. Anyone else I should watch out for? Aside from Emo Brooder over there? No, there are a few others that I would say yes, if they got over their quirks, but there's one thing you should know never to do. He whispered to her. The big-boned guy over there is Choji Akamichi. Call him fat. You've got the equivalent of my mother when she went after Sid. Yuffie gave a nod. That's really good to know. Couldn't recognize the poor guy for a week, no kidding. Yo, Naruto. Who's this, and what are you doing here? I passed through separate means, as did Yuffie, here. Friend of yours? Basically, yeah. Yuffie was on the desk right away, looking directly into his eyes. I like this one. In the end, Naruto asked, which part? Lazy genius. Naruto said casually, that's his whole clan. Anyway, Iruka. Sensei is coming. let's just sit down. No insults for the Uchiha. Why? He's not worth it. Some women yelled, what do you mean he's not worth it? They all blinked and stopped talking when Naruto asked, you mean to tell me, you want me to insult him? Shikamaru sat down beside Choji and said, damn. If I knew it was that easy, I would have done that long ago. That's when Iruka entered. He launched into a long, drawn-out speech about being a shinobi, which Yuffie and Naruto immediately ignored. Good. You're already quiet. That's a first. As Iruka went through the teams, Yuffie and Naruto made a mental list of who would be genin at the end of the week. Okay, now for the teams. Team 1. First, Naruto said, 1, fail. They went back and forth between the two, and Yuffie added, 2, fail. 3, fail. 4, fail. 5, fail. 6, fail. Team 7 will consist of Sasuke Uchiha. The class's girls looked excited, with the exception of Yuffie and one Hyuga. They were all perplexed by Yuffie Kasaragi, with the exception of Naruto and Shikamaru. There was a shout from everyone in the room. And Naruto Uzumaki. Fortunately for the males, their barrier was still up. Iruka. Sensei, this probably isn't my place, but do you really think it's going to work out? Naruto responded. The response was, you'll be able to handle it. Naruto understood the meaning behind the statement and nodded, saying, besides, this came from the Hokage, I can't do anything about it. That's what Dad was up to, wasn't it? I wouldn't put it past him to let you bust his ego and destroy his high horse, Yuffie said. Naruto kicked back and remarked, well, since I'm with Yuffie, I'm fine. But if he dies, his own ego and pride is what kills him. Though, if you ask me, so far, this is the only team that's got the making of a genin squad. Naruto and Yuffie both thought, Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. That one passes. Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 is Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akamichi, and Shikamaru Nara. That's all for the teams. Harpy, who had pink hair, said, wait, Sensei, what about me? Hokage. Sama specifically requested that you do something to better suit your skills. You are to meet at the Shinobi Hospital tomorrow at 0900, Sakura. Why the hospital? I'm not sick. Naruto asked no one, and she's supposed to be the female rookie of the year? Sakura, you're an idiot if you can't figure out what you're going to learn. You have brains, but no common sense. Yuffie said, you know what they say, Naruto. Common sense is so rare, it's a goddamned superpower. Now, I believe that statement. Yuffie retorted, your life is excellent proof of that. At this moment, someone flew into the room in a black blur and said, touché. The blur was actually a tarp ball that stretched into a banner with the words, Mitarashi Anko Team 7 Sensei an engagement to Iruka Amino. And a very attractive mother. Naruto's eyes widened and he started to perspire. The person who yelled, Iruka Umino. What the fuck were you thinking? Was Naruto, which surprised me. Iruka hid behind the banner and uttered, I can't have some kind of happiness? Immediately in front of him was Naruto. He grinned at Iruka's stunned expression and said, I never said I didn't approve of her. I was just wondering what took so goddamn long. I've kept it secret for a month now. Then Naruto gave a nod. Looks like we've got a real live one as a sensei. If nothing else, she'll help out, easily. Iruka acknowledged. Council argued with the team and sensei, though. Naruto questioned, you expect anything less? Before the banner went poof and landed in her hand as a scroll, Anko said, Team 7, to the roof. Naruto questioned, that's how she does it? Iruka added, I guess so. Both Yuffie and Naruto nodded as they exchanged glances. They were able to communicate without even using the mark. They simply departed at once. When Naruto outdid him, Sasuke became enraged and stormed out of the room. When he reached the roof, Yuffie and Naruto were sitting there with their eyes closed. Oi, Gaki. Naruto said, you know me. Somewhat. With her eyes still closed, Yuffie said, no one but you and me know you, Naru. With his eyes closed, Naruto said, that's why I said somewhat. Anko. Sensei knows me as she got close to my second mask, but she hadn't touched it. Iruka. Sensei did though, but even he didn't break it. Then Anko said, second mask? Sasuke appeared curious. Considering the fact that the masks are going down from here on out, I doubt I won't be leaving much to desire anymore, but a lot more will be revealed with one sentence. Everything happens for a reason. Anko deadpanned, that leaves more questions than answers. Naruto shrugged and said, that's shinobi life. The more mystery the better. Compared to the previous Naruto, I prefer this one. Hold on. When did he become so intelligent? Uchiha, before you say anything about me not being smart, take a minute and think about how I was able to prank the entire village, even the Hokage, and still get away from it without being caught by anyone but one Chunin. The Anbu couldn't catch me, and for a reason. I can outwit 4 full squads of Anbu, but the only one to catch me is Iruka. Sensei. Why do you think that is? Said Naruto. It's official. This guy is going to appeal to me. Let's check to see if he can now. And by the way, I already made my first kill. That clarifies that. Anyway, let's give our first introductions. Enko Mitarashi, likes are Dango. My fiancé who you should already know, and many other things. Dislikes are ignorant bastards, rapists, and a certain Cyclops. Hobbies. Torturing some poor sap to get information, my dream. Her dream is to finally be seen as herself, and not some bastard spy, said Naruto. I'm not giving out information on him. Just know that the guy is already on my shit list. Number 4, I believe. Yuffie became interested in this. I thought that Snake was 3rd. Nah, he got downgraded. So did number 2 and 1. A particular Uchiha that indirectly caused my parents' death, the death of maybe 20 bloodlines in Water Country, thus resulting in a civil war, and now is after a friend of mine has the top spot. Not to mention I've heard accounts of him raping several civilians, and then killing them. He's hit 4 of my 5 buttons right there, and there's bound to be more that I haven't found out about. Sasuke was taken aback by this. Is it possible? And no, it's not Itachi. The man was thought dead. Proved those bastards wrong with a vengeance. Naruto went on. Sasuke charged. How do you know it was a Uchiha? The simple fact that witnesses report to have seen the Sharingan. It hasn't gotten into any newspapers, but I'll tell you this. The dead hold no secrets. Anko arched an eyebrow and asked, "You've been raising the dead?" Nah, I've been talking with them, yeah. Raising them? Not by a long shot. They don't come to me, I go to them. Could you? I already have, Sasuke. Your father is pissed, as is your mother. Your mother at you. Your father at Itachi. I've been keeping Makoto updated on your progress. You're becoming too much of a psycho for her tastes, to be honest. Her words, not mine, Naruto said. I guess introductions are finished. Sasuke said, not quite, I want to know her. Get lost. I'm taken. Sasuke shot back, I don't see a band anywhere. Anko's eyes widened as she showed her mark. Mate mark. It functions the same way. Ask any Inuzuka, and they'd tell you the same thing. Anko gave a nod. She's off the market, Uchiha. I'd hazard a guess and say Uzumaki is off the market as well? Naruto shrugged as if it were no big deal and said, and you'd be right. Though the mark was accidental, I can't say I don't like it being there. Brought her back to life, after all. Really, I was hoping for a way for it to happen. The best things are found by accident. I also got the drop you've got a B rank under your belt, Anko said. Before recalling something, Naruto said, that was my graduation test, actually. It's also where I got my first kill, officially, at least. Sasuke. Main house, 2nd floor, library. There's a book titled, Crazy Shit My Husband Has Done. Get it. Read it. Before you act on it, understand what went on, and it belonged to Makoto, I think. She confirmed it when I asked her though. She asked me to give you a message. If you wanted to learn the truth, look in that book. The last entry in there was a few weeks before the massacre. If nothing else, read that. Sasuke was about to make a statement. Before you call her weak, know that she had the Mangekyo Sharingan, but only used it once before noticing that it took away part of her eyesight. She never regained it, and gave birth to you. She quit as a ninja to raise her sons. That was her story. No one knew she had the Mangekyo. And the fact that Itachi had it unnerved her. Had she remained active, she would have survived, and probably used it against him. It was a war, and she had to help out. Now that I think about it, I think I know how you can learn a few things without the Sharingan. Naruto took out a scroll and wrote in odd phrases. Then Yuffie said, alright, what hit your mind? With a hint of fear, Anko said, don't tell me he's bored. Sasuke sighed, wondering why his perspective was shifting so drastically. What's so scary about him being bored? He asked. No, he's not. At least, not yet. If he were there would A. Be heads rolling, B. Boats would fly, C. The head of torture and interrogation would be scared piss poor of his own, homemade coffee, D. Half the village would be leveled by a Mustine grenade. And to think those are the tame ones he's already done. Yuffie replied. I haven't seen anything about a flying boat. You obviously haven't seen it, but it's currently elsewhere. After completing his seal, Naruto remarked, that's kind of the thing I just came up with. That same boat. Getting it here is a massive pain in the ass. Easiest way to get it here is by Fuinjutsu. I'd have to test it out later. You gonna have to hit the gauntlet tonight? Nah, I'd probably spar with Cloud. If not, I'd go Sephi. I'm avoiding Sephiroth's name for a reason. I'm aware. But why not Cloud? No one knows his true name. They call him the Lifestream Warrior. Besides, Cloud and Tifa are coming anyway. It's best if he doesn't get that big of a fan club before he gets here. So, this Cloud trained you? A confession from Naruto and Sephi. Oh, and if I say anything along the lines of going, ape, shit, on someone else, be aware that one of two things are going to happen. 1. The guy, girl is dead, or 2. No one will recognize them, though option 1 is a lot more likely than option 2. Anyway, they both trained me in Kenjutsu, and no, I won't teach either of you, because you lack the extensive training to use it effectively. My bloodline only helped me reach that goal slightly faster, because of my muscles ripping apart and then knitting back together, nearly twice as strong. Even then, I had to get used to some of the weaponry. And why not? Because what they taught me in can't be learned without certain requirements. I've been training for 6 years in order to get this far. My chases with the Anbu were done with a massive handicap on my part. My body was physically restricted, and I was doing so in a bright orange and blue jumpsuit. If that isn't enough, try the fact that I still outrun them on a semi-daily basis. If you can do that, even in a time of peace, when standards are low, that's still a feat. Iruka Sensei was an Anbu for a year, and then took up teaching, because he found it without the risk, but with much more headache. You want to know how he catches me when Anbu can't? They were intrigued by this, except for Yuffie, she was aware already. It's because he actually knows how I think, because he's been there, he's done that, not to the same extent, and even more so. He's able to do a shitload more than you'd think. He's the only one that can find me if I'm further than a mile away. He's found me 6 miles out before. The only time he hasn't is when I'm visiting Yuffie in secret. Even then, he knows that I've dropped off the map. It's only because he knows me well enough to tell how I think, and finds my brain pattern, not my chakra, which can be suppressed to the max. That's how I can do so, even with myself restricted. When he can't feel my brain pattern, and yes, he can do that, that's when he knows he can't find me. Like that, he can pinpoint my location about 30 miles out, 5 miles for my chakra, and maybe a mile for normal eyesight. Astonished, Anko questioned, you already knew all this? Of course. Said Naruto. After all, I need to know who I'm up against. He's the only one to ever truly catch me. Yuffie gave a nod. That sucks, you know, being able to outrun Anbu, and then getting caught by a Chunin. A Chunin that can think on the same level and frequency as me, but yeah, it sucks. Naruto acknowledged. So, he's not all that strong. Alright, enough talked. Our first mission is tomorrow. Training Ground 44, right at the south side. Yuffie and Naruto both nodded. Sasuke just arched his brow. Anko drove off in a shunshin, saying, be there at 0800. And don't be late. Naruto let out a sigh. Look Sasuke. You hate me. I hate your attitude. As long as we get along when it counts, that's fine by me. Sasuke squinted and asked, who said anything about getting along? Think about history. It may seem useless, but that's because you're not looking underneath the underneath. Information, no matter how irrelevant at first glance, can become your greatest ally. Naruto clarified. Which teams earned a good name for themselves? As if it were well known, Sasuke said, Sanin, Ino, Shika, Sho, and Kunoichi Chaos. Sasuke gave Naruto a startled look when he said, Kunoichi Chaos is a lesser-known one, but still is one of the best to know of. Did you know that my mother was the leader of Kunoichi Chaos? Kushina Uzumaki is her name. She died the day I was born, because the Kyuubi attacked. My father died that same day, but that's not the point. The point is, all 3 of them were teams of 3. It seems to me like Anko Sensei is going to put us through a survival test. One that pits us up against each other, more likely than not. Don't fall for it. And why should I listen to you? When you've been talking to dead shinobi for as long as I have, you tend to pick up a few things. Naruto sighed. Let's go, Yuffie. Sasuke ran to the side and saw they were gone as she nodded and they both leapt from the roof. Where did they go? He almost broke his ankle as he leapt off. And how on earth does he accomplish that? Livestream subsequently Cloud and Naruto were standing. Cloud is holding second Tiberian, while Naruto is holding first Tsurugi. Right now, both swords were still intact. Ready, sensei. Cloud merely gave a nod. Between them, Vincent emerged. He disappeared and reappeared in the stands, saying, "Begin." They both froze, staring into each other's eyes. With a twitch of his left arm, Naruto disappeared. Cloud also disappeared instantly. Swords locked, they both emerged in the middle of the arena. Both of them leapt off and disappeared once more. In the stands, Minato gave a headshake, making it a speed battle, of course. Then Yuffie said, "Typical. I've said it before. Cloud's one major pain in the ass. Still, he knows how to wield huge-ass swords. That much can't be denied." Kushina nodded and said, "That's why you said he was to teach Naru-chan, right? I may not always act like it, but I know what people are good at, and where they can make a difference. I still can't believe that he learned the arrow spell chain easiest. That one's usually one of the hardest." Minato said, "It's probably because he's a wind chakra type. I'm a lightning chakra type, and the thunder series is where I shine. I'm wind and water, so water-based and the arrow chain are the easiest for me. That would probably explain why I lean towards lightning spells more often than the others. I'm probably more attuned to the lightning element. The Quake line isn't exactly harder, but is actually the second easiest for me. A few of my old limit breaks are the reason for that. They tend to center on death and landscaping. So, I'm more of a lightning, earth element, right?" Minato said, "That'd be about right. I could help you with lightning manipulation, just like Kushina could help our son with wind manipulation. If want some tips, just ask." After Cloud was launched into the air by a skyward swing, Yuffie said, "Sure thing. Oh shit. Naruto wins this round." Tifa sat there and asked, "What do you mean?" The answer from Yuffie was, one word, Omnilash. "He wouldn't, in a spar?" inquired Kushina. "With Naruto, I think the phrase, holding back, is not in his dictionary." Tifa deadpanned, "I really need to go over that with him, again." "You'd only be wasting your time. For him, it's all or none. Spar or not," Yuffie said. Minato said, "I'm the same way." Kushina continued, "So am I. It's actually hereditary with my family. So, no use trying to change that fact." Kushina smiled and said, "Nope. They've got the Uzumaki stubborn gene. I really hope I don't have Uzumaki blood, because I know for a fact I have the same stubbornness they do. I only relent for her, and sometimes him." Yuffie acknowledged, "Yeah, I'd imagine, as they are family." The original held up a hand and caught one sword, while 5 others struck the ground and impaled themselves. Naruto then struck the ground 6 times, 5 of them in a circle around the 6th dispelled. Cloud conked out, "You win." With a smile, Naruto held up a hand. "Kuraga." He was right beside Tifa. Well, at least he's good with minor injuries. Across from her, Naruto said, "Probably due to Kuraga. With the 27 hits I made with the Omnilash, he should have more than 3 bruises and a cracked femur." Tifa asked, 27? It only hits 15 times. When I used it, I was using 5 shadow clones, each of which held 1 piece of first Tsurugi. I was hitting him fast enough to expend less Mako in each strike and let the momentum of the strike do its job, while using chakra to, not extend the reach, but to widen the reach, causing multiple strikes for each hit. That's my version of it, at least. And I came up with it on the spot," said Naruto. Minato said, "That's pretty ingenious, you know? I didn't think Sid would have gotten you that far." Sid shot back, "I didn't. That's all him. Kid's a natural at winging it. No pun intended. Speaking of which, I've got the plans for it ready, but no, it's not built," said Naruto. "Gotcha." Sid snapped back. "Plans for what?" inquired Yuffie. Naruto acknowledged, "Well, several things, actually. But one of them was his idea. The rest was based on ideas I've heard about from when I traverse the livestream for whatever reason. Some of these ideas come from me when I'm bored." With pride, Sid said, "And believe me when I say, him getting bored is not always a bad thing. Those kind of ideas are pretty crazy, even by my standards. And yet, for some reason, I can see them working." And then Genova came in. "Cloud, Tifa, it is time." Tifa said, "Wait, already?" "Yes. He is fine by my standards, but he has to gain the experience with his skills before he could progress more. Now is the time you two will appear." "Wait. You think you could wait on sending them back for a bit? Make it an accident of sorts that they ran into me? Replied Naruto. Why would you want that? The official story is they're actually Kurama's friends that live far away, in the mountains at one point. Cloud acknowledged, Nibelheim was near a mountain. When I have to leave the village for a mission, that's when they show up. Maybe they could take out an opponent that I have yet to come across, but would soon. Such as? I'm not sure where my first out-of-village mission would be, but if there's any chance of upgrading, I'd be continuing regardless, and so would the rest of my team. The two of them should come in. They'll know where it is when I have to go for it. That way they can come back as they're traveling, so to speak. Oh. And if you can bring in Fenrir, that would be appreciated. Noted. And I think you have a point, though it would be a little suspicious. That suspicion will be offset by a hint of surprise when they actually do show up. Yuffie and I will be the only ones that will know it's actually intentional, aside from Iruka. Sensei and Gigi, after all. Gigi has yet to tell the council about the livestream, or the fact that Kurama is already outside of the seal, which is gone. No one would bother to check, either. Naruto replied. Basically, anyone that would know what it looks like is already aware of the situation. I don't recall Jiraiya finding out. Oh, he knows. I made sure of it. Tracked him down in Bird Country. Kurama replied. He also knows how useless he's been, but has told me of a possible threat, not only to Konohagakure, but to Naruto as well. What kind of threat? He was tracking Orochimaru at first, feeling responsible for his defection, and came across them. So far they've got 8S rank noob.nin, as Orochimaru had abandoned them. The fact that I'm no longer sealed is something that no one but the ones here, Iruka, and the Sandaime. That fact isn't getting out anytime soon. If Sarutobi says anything about it, hell, if anyone that isn't here now says anything about it, they'll collapse on the spot due to a heart attack. The other three that know are under a blood oath. It will cause a heart attack the moment they begin to speak of it. Naruto said, and I'm not revealing it anytime soon. If anything, I'd say Kurama was a summon once said to be on par with the Kyuubi no Yoko, but still loves pranking more than killing. Which is actually true, you know. Taking lives gets boring after a while. Pranks are everlasting, as they can destroy pride, honor, and more. And you can do it over and over and over again. I never got bored until I was sealed into Miko. Minato said, and Obito is to blame for it. I still can't believe he's actually alive, or that he's the one that caused Kurama to attack the village. And I thought I taught him better than that. Kurama paused for a moment before continuing. Tell me about it. The guy's a bastard now, if he didn't. Looks like Jiraiya is calling. He may not be in the village anymore, but know that we came to a mutual agreement. He exhaled. The fox then vanished, saying, we'll talk later. Then Cloud's eyes opened. I feel like I just went 30 rounds with Sephiroth. Kushina said, primarily as a measure, ouch. Tell me about it. Hey, if I can beat you that badly, then heal you with Kuraga, and then applying regen, and you still feel like that. If you weren't dead, you would be soon. Naruto said. Told you I'd be good after a good spar, Yuffie. And now I'm safe. Oh, you're never safe among a Namikaze. We have a tendency to attract trouble if we're not looking for it. Especially when people find out he's my son. Minato said to her. In fact, that's a typical Namikaze trait. Then Naruto turned to Yuffie. She blushed slightly but nodded when she said, even though it might not be safe in theory, I will. Never let my friends down. And that includes my wife. Well, better get some rest. I really think that you'll need more than your usual with Anko. The following day, the Hokage's office Sarutobi let out a sigh. I'm getting too old for this shit, really. Minato at least provided the team's ideas. They were a great idea, in my opinion. Several Junin, each of whom had been given a genin team, stood in front of him. He commanded, report. Who passed, and who failed? Team 1, fail. Team 2, fail. Team 3, fail. Team 4, fail. Team 5, fail. Team 6, fail. According to Anko, Team 7, pass. And Kurenai Yuhi said, Team 8, pass. The Sandaime's son, Asuma Sarutobi, said, Team 10, pass. A medic said, Sakura Haruno, accepted. She has a ways to go, but she is above and beyond what was thought, and learns the material quickly. Sarutobi gave a nod. One Junin, with only one eye visible and the rest of his face hidden, began, Lord Hokage. Why is it that I wasn't placed as a sensei for Team 7? The council would have wanted me to train them, or at least the Uchiha. That's the problem here. I didn't come up with the teams. Someone else, someone that I can trust implicitly, has been watching this class with interest. He's the one that came up with the teams. Not me. The council had no say in this class. You could say the man is my superior. The man's eye grew wide. No one can order you unless. No. Why would Cammy take interest in this class? He specifically stated that Team 7 is to have an outcast train them. Not you. The students were also placed together based on our usual principles, but we still had a lot of failures. He even stated that the only ones that were a near guarantee that would pass are Teams 7, 8, and 10. The rest were only if they saw through the test. Speaking of Anko Mitarashi, I believe we would all like to know how your team passed. What can I say? Naruto is a natural at outsmarting others. Makes a plan on the fly, and kicks ass. Yuffie. She's a lot more different than any other kunoichi, that's for sure. Her arms glow from time to time, and she seems to specialize in oversized and strange form shuriken. I'm not talking Fuma shuriken, oversize. If you saw any of them, you'd understand. Some of them don't even look like shuriken. I suspect she keeps them in a storage seal, or something of the like. However, it's her jutsu that scares me. They are much too powerful for any genin to use, especially with the amount of chakra she uses for them. Sarutobi said, explain. Well, you and I can use the amount for the Bunshin no Jutsu for the chakra she puts into any of her jutsu. And believe me when I say, they easily rival some B-class elemental jutsu and up. No shape manipulation, though. She showed 3 of the 5 elements. Fire, lightning, and water. She also showed ice, and even managed to paralyze me entirely. She didn't even make contact. All in all, she's a Junin in all but rank. What about the others? A Junin asked out of the blue. Let's see. Sasuke Uchiha is arrogant. He thinks he's supposed to be on top. In truth, he's the weakest on this team in both skills and mentality. His skills are no joke, though. He performed a fire jutsu, which was enhanced by Naruto, who used Fuden. Daitopa and Yuffie, who used a lightning element jutsu, which I assume was a high B rank, that gave it a tinge of electricity. I managed to dodge, and when the thing hit a tree. Well, that was the explosion earlier. Many Junin turned pale as a result. Sarutobi's eyes narrowed. You mean to tell me that 3 genin caused an explosion that would have killed someone on par with Orochimaru? It may have been big, and don't get me wrong, I hate the guy too, but if he got hit by that, he'd find a way to survive, but he'd flee. I passed them on the spot. One thing to note. Teamwork is a little shoddy, but when it's needed, it comes out. If not, it won't be present. Naruto openly stated that he hates the Uchiha's guts, and that he knew the Uchiha hated him. As long as they work together when it's needed, he won't have any complaints. That was the compromise they made. Sarutobi inquired, and what of his kenjutsu? Extreme. Hardcore. Godlike. None of them fit the bill. In fact, they are all listed as understatements for his kenjutsu. I'll put it to you this way. If he went up against the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist when they were at their best, he'd take out 3 of them before he was tired. If he had more experience with that Zanbato of his, he'd probably take out 4 or 5. I can't be sure. The only thing against him is experience. If not, he'd be able to become Anbu, or the Hokage with his current skill level. He didn't use his katana. Masamune. No, he told me of it, and he only uses it when he actually wants to kill someone. There are only 3 reasons he brings it out. 1. He's pissed off beyond recognition. 2. Someone threatens someone else close to him. 3. The man is on his top 10 list of bastards. Oh, wait. There's a 4th one. If they're too corrupt, he'd kill them. No arguments. Man, I pity Danzo when he shows up. This is one team I'm gonna enjoy. Then another person walked in. Hokage. Sama, we need Anko in the TI department. Someone won't even break from me, or Inoichi. We'll need her there, since she, more likely than not, failed her team. Anko said, actually, Ibiki, I passed them. However, there is one person I believe would do a lot better in doing so than me. I'll get him and bring him. Which area? Ibiki said, Block J, Cell 42. Noted. Hokage. Sama, I'll submit a written report on what happened during my test, if you ask. Please do so. Shun shined out as Anko nodded. Ibiki blinked. Do you know who she speaks of? No, but watch over whoever it is. See what they're capable of. The interrogation chamber. The man was blindfolded when Naruto and Anko entered the room. Naruto said, damn. This guy does not look good. Kind of the point. 2 of our best interrogators failed to get anything out of him, apparently. Let's see what you got, said Anko. Naruto approached the man. The man was shocked to discover that a child was questioning him after the blindfold was removed. What the? A fucking child. Alright, I'm not for the crazy bullshit like most interrogators. That much is certain. So, I'll cut to the chase. Why are you here? The man yelled, as if I would tell a kid. Before the man was shocked and somehow forgot something he treasured, Naruto said, wrong choice. What was? A highly outdated method of gaining information. Now, why are you here? Fuck you. He was so shocked that he lost all other thoughts. With a chilly tone, Naruto questioned, you want to forget everything you've ever cherished? I may not know much about you, but I know that everyone has something, or someone close to them. How would they feel if you didn't remember them anymore? What do you? I see the memories you lose through this method. So far, you've lost 2 memories. I can tell by what I see that one of them is a best friend of yours. Close to a brother. The other would seem to be a daughter of yours. Now then, speak. With a horrified expression, the man revealed his home village, his mission, the reason he was selected, everything he learned. Alright, I've told you everything. Please, don't make me lose my family. Naruto just grinned. One more thing. Defenses of your home village. I want the truth, and nothing more, if not. He revealed the information. Naruto then turned around and said, thank you, and by the way, the memories you lost will return when you see them, but only if they recognize you. And believe me, they won't. He left the space. Observation deck astonished. Ibiki, Anko, and Inoichi watched. Ibiki let out a whistle. Kid's got an interrogation method I haven't even heard of. Anko said, what did I tell you? He's good. Of course, I didn't think he'd go that far. Inoichi inquired, you were expecting less? Anko informed them, no more. Of course, that's still pretty damn good, all things considered. And to think he's someone I'm supposed to teach. Apprentice? Ibiki questioned, startled, wait, he's on your team? And he can do that? The door suddenly opened, and Naruto with a chunin entered. Hey, you know that this is a great stress reliever for me. He's been through more shit than I have, actually. It's all pent up, or just flat out forgotten. I was hoping on the former, to be honest. It helps with interrogation. Looks like you've got a third calling, kid. Actually, if you're saying this is the third calling, then it would be the 7th. Hokage is still at the top. There's quite a few others. Which reminds me, if I'm late for any team meeting, wait 1 hour. If I'm not there by then, head to this location. Burn the location into your memory, then burn the note. It's a place that actually has a few of my project in it. Ibiki, if you want to go in there, I have to be there. Same with you, Anko. I've been working one of them for 4 years now, so you know. Damn. What could take you 4 years to make? Well, the reasoning is the fact that I need a shitload of materials for the project itself. Then there's the size of it. Inoichi asked, size? How big could it be if you're hiding it? Before making an unsuccessful attempt to read his thoughts. Well, for one, there's the fact that it's in a cave, the only known entrance is too hidden to find. Well, we've got the next 2 days off. Mind if I come by tomorrow? Bring the team. Naruto said, raising an eyebrow, not Sasuke. Anko nodded, understanding his point. Yuffie already knows of it, and has been there. I don't trust Sasuke one bit. I respect him, but I don't trust him. She thumbed the other 2 people in the room and asked, what about these 2? Ibiki. Well, he's the mental surgeon. He'd get it out of me sooner or later. Inoichi. Well, as long as his daughter doesn't find out, I have no problems. Some of these projects can make or break the village. It's best to keep those who know about them down to the bare minimum. The Hokage is aware of them, sure. However, he knows the threat that they would cause if they fall into the wrong hands, and therefore, doesn't ask much about them. Just numbers and threat levels if used by an opponent. The lowest one. Out of all of them, it would be a high B rank, at worst. They're that dangerous. I keep the schematics for each hidden securely, and separate. He knows I have them, and what I intend to use them for. As none of them are finished, aside from one I used during the test, I wouldn't be using them anyway. Anko asked, and just what would happen if I saw it? Naruto answered, you'd know that I trust you, for one. Anko had committed the location to memory during this time, and it was being burned as he finished. I wouldn't have given you the location if I didn't trust you. That place is something not even the Hyuga clan can see. I made the chamber specifically with Dujutsu in mind. That's how good I hid it. That's how necessary I have to hide it. If you don't know where to look, or what to look for, you won't find it. This is good to know. Anything to use against a giant snake? Of course. In fact, some of them, 3 in particular, when used properly could take out one of the big 5 shinobi villages. One of them has to be kept hidden. Still, I know how to take it down. No one else will. Not even Yuffie does, and she understands the reasoning. Any chance on selling them to the village? Some of the B class, yeah. Of course, those particular projects are already complete, and they'd be going to the Hokage's personal Anbu only. I know the difference. Any chance of us learning that interrogation method? Ibiki responded. To which Naruto answered, none whatsoever. That method has been out of use for several thousand years. I'm only able to recreate it through different means. That's the main problem with it. I'm the only one that can use that method at this point. I can't argue that it's effective for most, as everyone has something, or someone they cherish. Something that keeps them human. That method makes them lose it, and they'll know they lost something precious. They always start talking after the third one, if not, the second. Brief description. Inquired Inoichi. Naruto shrugged, saying, obey, or lose what you cherish most. That's basically the gist of it, and if it's a material possession, they'll never regain the memories lost to them. That particular portion is only effective for the memories that are of the living. Ibiki said, damn, that's got to be effective. Naruto turned around and said, you have no idea. I'm heading to the hangar. That's what I tend to call the place. Yuffie will be there sooner or later. Right. I'm hanging out with Hinata. She likes you, you know? Yeah, but unless I had a bloodline, which I don't, I wouldn't be able to take more than one of them. I've already got you, and I'm happy with my choice. What about using the live stream? That's not a bloodline. They said it was like a bloodline, because no one can copy it. Fact of the matter is, it's not. It's unique to me and Cloud. Not Cloud's son, nor his grandson, it's stuck with him. They are one with the live stream, sure, but I'm not recreating Shinra. That's asking for trouble. I'd avoid it, if at all possible. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of one, or the needs of the few. That's the usual belief of a Hokage. My father was different. He's the one I'm going to base my ideals off of. The needs of the many and the needs of the few are on par in importance. The needs of one are nothing compared to the other two. That was my father's belief, Cloud's belief, and now, it's my belief. Good to know you won't abandon us. I'd never abandon you, you know that. Yuffie paused and said, of course, I do. I was just making sure you weren't playing around with that promise. How often do I promise you things? Not that often. That's because I can't keep them all. That's why I make them, because I can keep them, or I die trying. You know this as well as I do. Yuffie said nothing. Yuff? I'm just shocked, you know? Why? You don't feel obligated to help me. You helped me by bringing me back to life. You keep doing things for me that you don't have to do, and yet you never ask for anything in return. I don't want anything for doing what is right. I simply do what I think is right, or what needs to be done, right or wrong. You know me enough to know that. Yeah. Oh, Hinata's getting worried. I'll talk to you later. I'll be in the hangar until it's time to go home. Okay. I'll meet you there. Training Ground 44 was where Naruto ended up. Huh. This is how I got here. Oh well. He left using Shunshin. Cliff. In the vicinity of Konohagakure, Naruto gazed at the face of Cliff. As he passed through, a portion of the wall opened and then closed, and his right arm glowed a deep purple. Several fluorescent lights appeared after it closed. Lit up, that is. He proceeded down the corridor to a huge hangar, where a huge aircraft that still appeared to be in the construction stage was located. He approached a console. Alpha, what's the status of the Highwind V2? Naruto. Sama. Welcome back. Progress is being made in the Highwind. The propulsion systems are what we are working on right now. I apologize that we haven't finished yet. That's fine. I was expecting you to wait until last for that. The propulsion systems are the only thing left to work on. The components are ready, the attachments are being worked on, and the operation systems are also being worked on. Next is the synchronization of multiple operating systems to operate under a single OS as a master program. The Highwind will be ready in a month if we continue on our current trajectory. Naruto nodded and said, good to know. Grenade production? We have 524 grenades available right now. And the paper triggers? Which paper triggers? You mean to tell me, the grenades we have right now are the pin trigger version that was used by Shinra? That's right. Stop production at 1,000 of them. Those are going to be sold. I've got a good spot for them to sell, and a few good prices to boot. I'd still have to provide a demonstration for them, so put aside 10, and continue production at the current rate. Indeed, sir. What about that new project idea, the armor? Finished and prepared for testing. Good to know. They have the genjutsu seals, correct? Getting them to work was difficult, but they do. But only when Mako is channeled into it will it come to life. That was the only negative aspect. Well, can't win them all. We'll be testing them tomorrow. Also, know that we will have a visitor tomorrow as well. Her name is Anko Midarashi. She's already earned my trust. Are you certain it's a good idea? I am aware that questioning you is not in my nature, but I know it doesn't seem like it. I don't want many people knowing about this, but she'll have to know sooner or later. Besides, she knows, full well, that the less people that know about it, the more higher-ups she can piss off. Knowing her, she'd jump at the chance to piss them off by knowing something they don't. Do you mean that she would keep it from her superiors in order to annoy them? And she'd love every second of it. I get it, sir. Alright. I'll help out with the attachments. You need someone that can give a good opinion on it, and I did learn from one of the best mechanics of all time. Naturally, sir. Should I inform Omega of your arrival? He'll know when I get there. He approached the enormous ship and began assembling rocket boosters and other parts in the general vicinity. 3 hours later, Naruto was approached by a humanoid-looking robot that was obviously made for construction because it had tools on all 4 hands. Someone is coming toward the entrance, Naruto-sama, specifically, 2 people. What do they look like? Among them is Anko Midarashi. The other's veins contain remnants of the life stream. Anko has permission to enter. The other one, did you get a visual? Indeed, sir. The other one. Male, somewhat dark skin, scar over his nose. Hair is probably in a pineapple-shaped ponytail? He is, sir. How do you know this, may I ask? Let them both in. I trust them both, and Anko knows it. His name is Iruka Amino, one of the only 2 to crack my second mask. He was the closest to bypassing it, too. Indeed, sir. I will communicate with Alpha. With a nod, Naruto resumed his work. Anko and Iruka saw the high wind within 10 minutes of entering the hangar. The enormity of it almost caused them to gape. They heard Naruto's upbeat voice say, "Hey guys," before a gust of wind caused him to leap directly in front of them and land without making any noise or even crouching. He glanced at the airship and said, "She's a beauty, isn't she?" Iruka exclaimed, "How did you build this?" in utter shock. "Something I've really been working on for 4 years now. It's a remake of the Highwind, full scale. She's in the final stages of construction, and at the rate she's being built, I'd say another month or so until she's done." That's a long time. Naruto then turned to face them and said, "For some, yeah. However, given the fact that the majority of the resources I actually need to get everything in order are hard as hell to obtain, 4 years to get this far is astounding. In fact, it would take at least twice that amount of time to get halfway done with this thing and the supplies I have access to. Besides, I'm not the one that will be piloting it. I'm actually glad that I've been building it for years. One of the ones coming as a pilot, and lives to build and fly shit like this. He's actually the one that gave me the idea to build it in the first place. I'm glad I took it, too. When it comes to an all-out offense, this baby is gonna do wonders once it's complete." Both then gave him a flat stare, but there was a gleam of surprise, amazement, and a faint, WTF, in the back of their eyes. He said, "Come on. I'll give you the grand tour." It took almost an hour, and even Iruka was perplexed by some of the things. They had returned to the hangar. Iruka nodded, but Anko shook her head, asking, "So, any questions I didn't cover? How do you intend on making that thing fly?" "You saw the flying boat, Iruka. Sensei, you should know that I can do so." "You never did explain it, though." You're right. I didn't? Okay. The easiest way for me to describe the method is Fuinjutsu, however, that's only sugarcoating the method. There are several thousand variables that you wouldn't be able to figure out easily. In fact, few Anbu could do so within the time span of an hour. In what would take them to figure out one, I would have gone through about 690. Give or take a few. As such, I won't be going into detail. Just know that the holes near the back and bottom make it go forward and up respectively, and the propellers cool things down, similar to an air duct. They can also work as an idle movement, meaning aerial, yet stationary. You with me so far? Anko and Iruka both nodded. Okay, the next thing you'll need to know is the fuel injection. There are times when it would have to land due to a lack of fuel. Unlike the original Highwind, this one can land on top of water, as long as one that has been inside of the lifestream while alive is present and on board. At this point, only 3 have done so and are alive. 2 others have and will be coming one day. As to when, I am not sure, but I know they're coming. Anyway, it can land on the water, and take a few charges from the life stream. It does the same on land. I've already started charging the functions. The first time will be taking a lot longer than a refill. According to Anko. Why is that? Because what I need the first time around is a bunch of lightning materia. It's a magic materia allowing use of the spells Thunder, Thundara, and Thundiga. Yuffie used Thundara in the Genin exam. She also used Watara and Fira. Those are the level 2 spells, and they are the equivalent of high B to low A rank in the jutsu scale. She can use the level 3 spells on each of them. That means Thundiga, Watarga, and Firaga. She also has a summon materia. Hers is Ifrit. I have the Master Summon, Master Command, and Master Magic. I can use all summons through materia, all spells throughout all magic materia, and all commands through the command materia. If you want a list, get in line, because I have to make it. My favorite materia, out of all of them. It actually seems like the Sharingan, and is the closest I can get to it. The enemy skill materia. And it doesn't tie into any of the master materia. A.N. Please be patient. I realize this isn't true in the game, but it is in this story. There is a major difference though. The skill itself must be used on me. I can't just see it used and can use it myself. An example. Someone launches a Suiryuden and it hits me. If I'm still alive, I can channel the jutsu through the enemy skill materia and use it myself. However, if the same jutsu hits my teammate, I can't use it that way. It is this way that I can learn any attack that uses direct contact, from a distance. I get hit with it and survive, I can use it. My teammate gets hit with it, I can't. If I fall unconscious from the attack, I won't be able to use it. If I dodge it completely, I can't use it. If I dodge, though only partially, I can use it, only if it, at the least, grazes the limb it is in. Naruto raised his left hand. It's in my left forearm. As long as a direct contact jutsu at least grazes the forearm, not the upper arm, and not the hand, I can use it. If I get hit full force, I'll learn it, no contest. Naruto sighed as he put his arm down. Yuffie and I are currently the only ones with this materia right now, as the other two that are known to be out there are currently lost to the world. Anko and Iruka nodded in agreement, but it made them a little uneasy. What happens if? If it's an assassination jutsu, I'd avoid it. Unless I have something that will allow me to absorb the element on me, I would avoid it altogether. Kakashi Hitaki's Reikiri and his Chidori will not affect me. In fact, it will give me the chakra put into it. All lightning element attacks will be absorbed into my chakra reserves like a sponge soaks up water. If my chakra is at full capacity, then it can be used to heal injuries. Either way, I won't have to worry about lightning jutsu being used on me. That's all fine and dandy, but what about the others? Iruka responded. Surely you can think of something along those lines, right? He acknowledged, I already have. Unfortunately, I lack the major materials needed to do so. That's the main problem with that. The moment it can happen, I do so, but that would be a ways off. At that, Anko and Iruka both nodded. Still, I can't believe you did all this, I mean. Naruto said to him, Iruka. Sensei, I understand what you mean. This kind of stuff is long forgotten. The only records of this are here in this hangar. Everything else is destroyed, or withered with time. I'm placing my bet on the former though. What's more is, no ninja, aside from myself, knows the exact process used to create the mass majority of all of this. A robot approached them. There seems to be livestream activity, Naruto, Sama. Location? In Konohagakure, it seems to be close by. It is being channeled by someone else using their chakra system. With a hint of panic, Naruto questioned, do you have any way to identify them? We are currently in the process. The robot answered. Startled, Iruka said, someone else channeling the livestream? Is that even possible? Naruto said, I didn't think it was. Located him. Of the Sannin, Jiraiya, he is. Naruto stepped in and said, that figures, sir? I should have guessed it. His summons are the toads. They have something called hermit mode. With it they channel nature chakra. That is like the chakra of the. That kind of explanation would be helpful. Could you please elaborate? Chakra is the life force of any living being. The life stream is the life force of the planet. This means that by channeling nature chakra, you are effectively channeling the Mako from the life stream. Naruto clarified. Iruka's gaze expanded. Anko and Naruto turned to face him and said, that actually makes sense. Each point you made was correct. And since the life stream is the life force of the planet itself, then nature chakra, which is the chakra from the nature of the planet itself, is effectively the life stream. Naruto went on, and that is Mako in a nutshell. Their attention was drawn to the statement. One problem that I can see is the fact that it shouldn't even be possible to do so. He turned to the robot and said, I'll have to talk to Gigi about this. Continue working on the Highwind. I want it done as soon as possible. Indeed, sir. Is there anything else? If there is any threat of invasion to Konohagakure, let me or Kurama know. Keep all scanners open. I get it. After grabbing Iruka and Anko, Naruto departed in a shunshin. Hokage's tower Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, and an elderly man with white, spiky hair were conversing. Is this information correct? The white-haired man said, It would seem so. Unfortunately, I really need to spend time with my godson. I've been far too busy for my liking. As soon as he entered, Naruto heard that. This drew their attention. So, you never wanted to leave me alone, Naruto. What are you doing here? I picked up traces of the life stream in the village. It wouldn't have moved the way it was if it was a natural flow. After it stopped, I pinpointed it and was about to let you know. Sarutobi acknowledged. I thought you were the only one able to do so. Jiraiya said, Hokage. Sama, what are you talking about? To the elderly man. Jiraiya looked shocked and said, You mean you don't recognize your own godson? I'm hurt. Jiraiya sighed after saying, And here I thought I would have to search high and low for you. I had every intention of taking care of you. My only problem is the orders I have. I haven't been able to come to the village in well over 8 years. If I was, I would have looked for you, Naruto. Holding up a hand to stop Iruka from pointing out his rudeness, Naruto asked, And why didn't you say screw it and come anyway? Jiraiya acknowledged, If I did, I wouldn't have been able to see you period. Had I done that, I would have been listed as a rogue for insubordination, and never allowed in the village or face execution. If that happened, I still can't face my old student. Naruto nodded and said, You mean my parents, right? Before a startled expression came over his face. How did you find out? I've been learning under them and several others in a place called the Lifestream. They are both pissed, my mother especially, that you have done nothing to help out. She even suggested I use something that is called a true cage killer. And no, Gigi. This isn't a sexy jutsu. You haven't seen either of the others I have. At that, Sarutobi went pale. He has more, though. I will be the first to admit that my graduation from the academy is the reason either of them are possible. Sarutobi's mind was racing. He became proficient in the shadow clone jutsu. That much is for sure. What else did it teach him, though? Jiraiya said, Look, whatever they want done to me, then do it. I probably deserve every bit of it and more. Kurama came in. Naruto. They were watching, weren't they? Got it in one, Kit. Your father is a little pissed that someone is trying to overrule the Hokage. Kushina is pissed that anyone has tried to keep you from finding anyone close to you. Sarutobi said, If anyone is at fault, it's the council. They've gained too much power for their own good. Jiraiya went on to say, They've obviously become obsessed with it. Then I believe you should come clean about his heritage. Not a perfect idea, but the best at this point. Naruto drew everyone's attention by saying, No, I think we should call a council meeting. I know how to get their heads out of their asses. I've done so with those who are dead, and a few others that are alive. Those alive didn't realize it until a deal was closed. It helps when you learn from the dead. The fox gave a nod. Naruto nodded in agreement, saying, That is good. So you know, everything is set. The avalanche will be coming soon. Naruto said, Okay, I'm out. Oh, and Jiraiya? I'll be waiting for the toads. However, before he could get away, someone grabbed his shoulder. Pulling the scroll from his back, Jiraiya said, If you want to sign, then here. The toad contract is right here. If you've been learning from your father, then I have no worries about your skill level. As much as I hope you don't have your mother's temperament, I seriously hope that she taught you as well. If for no other reason, that she was the second best kunoichi of her time. Naruto retorted, Oh, and who was better than her? Some big-breasted whore? Jiraiya let out a sigh. Perverted comments aside, the only one that beats her out as a kunoichi is Tsunade herself. Skills aside, she's actually the most beautiful there ever was. Tsunade doesn't hold a candle to her in looks, but I know for a fact that she'd never go for me. I'm better off going with a partially hopeless case than your mother, who I had no chance with. That made Naruto grin. You may be able to redeem yourself to my father, but you know as well as I do that, even in death, my mother is stubborn. She may not like the fact that I'm pointing it out, but it's true. She won't forgive your absence easily. The way I see it, you chose the lesser of two evils. Stay away for a while, and come back later, instead of sticking around and getting charged for insubordination, and never see you again. What's more is, if I did take you, they'd kill you on sight. The Toad contract was signed by Naruto. He said in a shunshin, "Good to know. Now I'm out." On his way out, Jiraiya gave Sarutobi a glare. Sarutobi sighed, realizing that he ought to have sent a messenger. At first, I was just going to ask about the important bits, but thanks to this, I want to know everything. Even the slightest bit of information that would seem irrelevant. I want to know it all. They both nodded and departed, saying, "Anko, Uruka, please leave."
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.